The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is The Angry Chicken.
Frostborn hungers because this is the last Angry Chicken before Knights of the Frozen Throne releases. Oh my god, guys, I guess I should just drop the bumper now.
Good news, everyone!
Yeah, since we last had an episode, we got a release date, and in true Hearthstone fashion, it's right around the damn corner. Expansion comes out Friday. I'm Garrett Weinzerl. Sitting with me is Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat. And I think
by Friday, you mean Thursday?
Thursday.
Yeah,
sorry, Thursday. There you go. Thursday.
Yeah. If it's Friday, you're in the EU.
I'm wishing it was Friday because my Thursdays are always very, 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 very busy. It's the worst possible day for an expansion to release for me, so I'm unhappy. I'm unhappy because I'm a selfish human being.
I'm pretty sure the 10th is what we predicted, and then everyone was giving us crap because the 10th was early August, and they said mid-August. I'm like,
it said
10th is the beginning of the mid.
What, people on the internet being extremely technical and overly critical? You don't say.
Imagine
I wasn't gonna talk about that. Just real quick. I just want to. All right.
Way to go, Garrett.
I didn't respond on our Reddit. Because I feel like in text things get lost, right? And like
very true.
So I didn't want to come off as like, being like a dick to somebody, but I just want to point out that one thing that I found out really early on in my podcasting career was that if I was scared of saying something wrong, I was going to be a worse podcaster. So it's more important. So I just want to make sure everybody understands there's not a lack of research on our part, and I appreciate people giving us feedback because it is important. And I don't think that the feedback that we got came from an unloving or unhelpful place. I think it did come from somebody just trying to point out something. But we're gonna get things wrong. I'm gonna get things wrong. It's gonna happen. I'm sorry. But I'm not gonna like change how I prepare for this show because we want to have a discussion, right? And that conversation was an actual. We got somewhere. I thought in that little thing where we were wrong. Then we were like, hey, maybe it does work this way. We don't know yet, and that's kind of the point, right? So anyway, just so everybody knows,
right? It's a discussion, and it's kind of hard sometimes for us to prepare for discussions because like you have three brains working at a problem, right? So someone could come up with something you haven't really thought of, and we go on a lot of kind of tangents at some points to kind of like dive deeper into some of these cards and into some of our ideas and stuff, and sometimes we don't even have the ideas ahead of the show. So it just,
Sure.
That's the nature of the way that we do our show. And
well, this is not like an edited
enjoy
YouTube
it.
video,
exactly.
right? It is
exactly.
a podcast, so it's more like a live radio show.
Yeah.
But if Garrett says Friday, Jocelyn will be there to say no, it's Thursday. Like, and that's the beauty of it. There's three of us here. We'll usually get there, and sometimes we'll get there a week later when we discover like this is actually how something works. So it's very possible,
right?
Lifesteal's going to work with Battle Cries. We'll find out.
Yeah, a lot of many podcasts start most episodes with corrections from the previous podcast because that's how it happens when you have a conversation with a human being. You don't plan your entire conversation. So sometimes
it would be really bad and really boring if we did, guys. If we were sitting here reading scripts, that would be awful.
Yeah.
No, we're not gonna do that.
So sometimes topics come up that we did not expect to come up. So it is off the cuff, and that has been the case for 222 episodes now. And we have a lot of cards to talk about today, and I'm sure we're going to be wrong about some of the things that we bring up. And if that,
I guarantee it.
And if that bothers you,
one thing I know I'll be right about, and that's that I'll get something wrong.
And if that really bothers you, you probably shouldn't be listening to podcasts in general. But
Yeah, you might just want a different medium, like articles, YouTube videos that are highly edited.
Dictionaries. You should go to dictionaries, and thesauruses. Yeah, that's the thing you should. That's the thing you should stick to. But anyways, we have so many damn cards to talk about today. Again, just like last week, pretty much going to be the only thing that we discuss today will be new cards. But before we get into that, we do, as always, have a sponsor to thank for today's episode, and that is awaytravel.com, the makers of fantastic luggage that all three of us have sung the praises of here on this very show. Jocelyn, quite frequently, because you love your away luggage, Jocelyn.
I do. I got to actually use it for super long distance plane travel for the first time. Oh my god, dude. The amount of stuff that this thing holds blew my freaking mind, because I've never had to try to actually cram things in. I've always been just, like going to my parents for the weekend or something, but I used just the carry-on for my whole entire Nerdtacular trip, which is a week long. Also, I did a really, really dumb thing. I don't know if you guys remember, but a few months back, there was a gigantic sale on the Blizzard gear store. So I arrived at Nerdtacular. I had all of my stuff shipped to an American friend because the shipping is way cheaper. I arrived at Nerdtacular and she came at me with a box like, here's your gear store stuff. I was like, oh no. One of which was a Horde blanket. It is the most comfortable, awesome blanket ever, but it took up like half of my normal suitcase. So then because my boyfriend Matt was with me, and so I was like, honey, you have to take all of your stuff out of the away suitcase because I need to put all my gear in it, and then you can try to put your stuff back in. And it all fit. It was amazing.
Well, that's just fantastic to hear, and you're making me even more want to get one. So check it out over at awaytravel.com/TAC. The checkout code that they gave us for all of the Angry Chicken listeners is TAC. That'll get you $20 off of your order. From Away, the carry-on and the aptly named bigger carry-on both have internal batteries for charging, so play Hearthstone to your heart's content. You'll be able to recharge it thanks to the internal battery on your piece of luggage. And there's plenty of other bonuses, including free shipping to the 48 lower states, a 100-day return policy, and a lifetime warranty. So check them out. We thank them for their support. awaytravel.com/TAC. Now, so many Knights of the Frozen Throne cards to talk about, and I went ahead and made a little card talk bumper because it was requested. Let's get into this, the final card talk of Knights of the Frozen Throne.
Everybody dies.
Yep, everybody dies. Thank you, Ben Brode. And we figured we would kick things off with the remaining Death Knight cards that we have not yet had a chance to discuss. So if we're going alphabetically, or not alphabetically, if we're going in the order of Hearthstone, and I'm not sure what their order was, but we're starting with Valeera.
I think it's release order.
It's release order for the
okay.
Death Knights, yeah.
Okay, for the Death Knights anyway, because everything else is rarity.
Yeah.
All right, well, we've already talked about Rexar, we've already talked about Jaina, and we've already talked about Thrall. Let's talk about Valeera the Hollow. So if you are a rogue, you're going to have to pay what turns out to be the most mana for any of the Death Knights. You're also tying with Paladin and Mage. You're going to be paying 9 mana to cast Valeera the Hollow. As with all of the Death Knights, you will be gaining 5 armor. I think it's the last time I'm going to mention the 5 armor on the Death Knights today. Mm-hmm. And the battle cry on Valeera is gain stealth until your next turn. So your hero gains stealth.
Cannot be targeted.
Yeah.
So cool!
Until your next turn, which you're going to need if you're spending 9 mana to...
Yes.
And you're not actually killing anything, because some of the other Death Knights, like, kill things when they happen and stuff like that. But this, it's not immunity. It's just stealth. So random effects can still damage you.
Yep.
If you're in Wild, Ragnaros can still blast you in the face for 8 damage. So just be aware of that.
Yep. Oh, and already wrong. I forgot Gul'dan's 10 mana. My bad.
Ghoul Dangerous?
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Is pretty sweet.
We'll get there, okay? But more importantly, we got to talk about the hero power. Death Shadow is what your hero power will be turning into. So it's a passive hero power. So during your turn, it adds a shadow reflection to your hand. And I'm going to have to go down if you're watching live because there's just too many damn graphics. Where'd tokens go? I already lost it. Where are the shadow reflections?
I don't know if they're actually on this page.
I don't
They've
think
got
they
all
are.
the Death Knight cards, but I don't see shadow reflections anywhere. But basically what it is it's a card that enters your hand like at the beginning of your turn, and it just copies the last card you play. So if you like play a card, it'll copy that card. If you play another card, then it'll switch to that card. Just whatever the last card you played is, it will just make a copy of that, and then you can cast it. So it casts a second copy of that card. But if you don't cast it by the end of your turn, it goes away. So if you cast something that's more than 5 mana, you better be able to, and then the problem is you can't even prep it, because if you prep it, then it turns into prep.
It turns into prep, yeah.
So it's basically going to work on 5 mana or less cards. Which is probably a good thing, because it sounds like it could be super broken if you could just hold on to these and store them up. So.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, it would have to have a cost associated with it. It couldn't be passive if it actually worked that way. I thought it worked that way, that you just got to hang on to copies of your cards forever until you wanted to play them again. And I was like, this is stupid broken. I hate this. Why is this happening?
Yeah. I think it's going to make more sense once we played with it a bunch. I think it's just kind of a weird thing, because there's nothing like this in the game. And obviously when I first saw the card, I was like, during your turn? That is really weird language. But it makes sense. They're trying to basically say that it exists only during the turn
and then it
there, and do that in a concise manner. So my rage about the text subsided once I figured out what was going on and the reasoning for it. But it's definitely this card's gonna enable some cool combos. So you'll be able to like, get extra eviscerates and stuff like that off at the end of a game, and kill people easier. So I don't know exactly what the best version of this combo is going to be. I think the trick here is that going to be better than just playing like Miracle Rogue and just casting 2 of those anyway, right? Like, I don't know. That's the real key here.
Yeah, I really like this. I think it's one of the I don't know. There's so many creative things in this expansion. I'm not sure I want to crown this the most creative, but it is definitely up there. And
I'm really sorry, Gary.
Yeah. I was going to say also the fact that it only persists like on your turn, even though the wording is difficult. The way that it actually ends up playing out, it works towards how rogues kind of already play with combo, because all these things that you need to worry about on that very turn. It's not like your combos extend between turns.
Very true. I was going to say, I'm surprised that we got a passive hero power for actual players, period. Just the idea of a 0 mana automatically casted hero power, like that's just been a boss mechanic up until now. So I think that was really interesting. I literally did not think they would ever do that. So GG, Hearthstone.
Yep. Way to prove us wrong, which is happening a lot, I feel like, in this expansion.
They're doing a lot of weird stuff with this set, and I love it. Like I said, there's no cards without text. And somebody said the Snow Flipper Penguin. No, that has text. It says Beast on it. So, yeah.
Totally counts.
Yeah. Well, there's literally not a single just like vanilla card. Yeah. I mean, we've now seen all the cards. There isn't one. That's crazy.
That is
that's what they're doing with this. They're just going off on this set.
I feel almost like they tested the waters with Elise and the whole giving you a pack thing, and then they're like, oh, people liked it, people played it. What else can we do?
Sure.
Yeah, well, let's move on and talk about what's going to be happening with priests. They're getting Shadow Reaper Anduin. Going to cost you 8 mana to cast the Priest Death Knight. The Battle Cry of which destroys all minions with 5 or more attack. So it's super shadow word.
He is death.
And that's friendly minions as well, too. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so keep that in mind. And then your hero power will be turning into void form. So for 2 mana, you'll be able to cast this and deal 2 damage. After you play a card, though, it refreshes void form. So you can deal 2 targeted damage multiple times in a turn, depending on.
And if you play Raza the Chained, you could cast this for 0, and then just keep refreshing it. So
which is insanity.
Forever and ever, you'll just have multiple hero powers a turn. That's really good. This card is really good. I think we are definitely going to see Shadow Reaper Anduin decks. That's just like you just win from there, right? So
what kind of a deck would you build with this? Because in my head, I'm thinking something in that like all my cards other than Raza and Anduin are like kind of 3, like topping out at 3 or 4 mana, because I don't necessarily want minions with 5 or more attack. And I want a lot of cards that I'm able to play to refresh my hero power, right? So I don't want a hand full of really big stuff. I want a hand full of like 2 and 3 cost cards.
Well, no, I don't think you need to go that far because I think you basically just play a control Kazakus priest, and then you use Lyra to generate a whole bunch of low cost spells at some point. So you will play more low cost spells probably than you do now in just because that turn will be so important, right? Mm-hmm. So with Lyra, you'll just like get a bunch of spells, random spells in one turn, and then once you get Shadow Reaper Anduin down, you'll then use all those low-cost spells to refresh your hero power a bunch of times. But even if you refresh it just once, it's still really good. Like, you don't need to refresh it over and over and over again to have it still be super powerful, right? Because Shadow Form, like the Shadow Form is difficult to play, and obviously this will be difficult to play too. But this is like kind of combining Shadow Form with a double Shadow Word Death. So you could think like that's like 9 mana worth of stuff. If you can kill 2 minions with it, that's a discount, honestly. And putting Shadow Form up, right? Shadow Form plus. So yeah, I think it's just going to be a really good deck. But it's probably going to be. I think it's going to be Kazakus. I think a lot of people are going to play that.
So so I'm just looking up Raza's actual text, and it says if your deck has no duplicates, your hero power costs 0 this game. So even if your hero power changes, this is like a persistent aura, right? Because I have never played this
with Shadow Form.
Okay, I was like, I have never played this with Shadow Form, so I didn't know if like changing your hero power reset it, but it's just a persistent effect.
You could turn into Ragnaros, and your hero power would still cost 0.
Yep, or you could, if you're playing Wild, you have a Sir Finley, that type of stuff.
Yeah, so and you could play Shadow Form after this; it would still be 0. But you don't want to play Shadow Form after you've had Void Form, so because it will overwrite it. So don't do that.
Right, exactly. So this is also just so rad. Also feels kind of roguelike in the fact that it feels combo E. You're playing a card to refresh your hero power. Not what I was necessarily expecting for the priest. It's also of all the hero powers that we're seeing from the Death Knights, I think kind of the most. It's kind of the most innocuous. It is the most similar to something that currently exists in the game in the form of Shadow Form.
Yeah, it's the refresh mechanic that's different, right?
Right, exactly. Which makes it potentially very dangerous.
Yeah. By the way, the name Void Form seems kind of weird to me. I don't know.
What you do
I'm picking nits a little bit, but voids don't really have to do with DKs, right? Am I?
Well, I mean, they're kind of giving you Shadow Priest, right? So when you're
but they could have called it like Death Form or something. I don't know.
I guess.
I think it
is Shadow Priesty because once you build up your Insanity, then you pop your Void Form and then you get a big damage boost. So
the voids are demony. I'm just saying, like lore wise, like voids are where the demons go.
That's true.
Not where the Death Knights go.
But also look at Anduin. He's just made of shadow. So
yeah.
Sure.
It's weird to call it a Death Knight, but considering the direction they went with Anduin, I'll allow it.
Yeah. No. Like I said, I'm picking nits here, but
all right. Well, let's see if we can find you another nit to pick over on the Druid side. They're getting Malfurion the Pestilent. Going to cost 7 mana to cast this DK. And when the battle cry on this is well, it's a choose one. It's you either summon 2 poisonous spiders or 2 scarabs with taunt.
And the spiders are 1/2s, and the scarabs are 1/5s, right?
1/5s, yeah.
Correct. And then the hero power that it gives you is called Plague Lord, also going to cost you 2 mana. It's another choose one, however. So it's a choose one hero power. You get +3 attack this turn, or you get to gain 3 armor.
Okay, that's
and
pretty
if
good.
You have Fandral, you get all of this, right?
Yeah, you can Fandral coin or Fandral innervate this out, and they actually did that on the reveal stream.
It did,
and there was a weird bug there where they got 10 armor, and Ben Broad was like, yeah, I'll have to look into that because you definitely you shouldn't get 10 armor, I don't think.
Well, but I wonder, I'm sure that probably.
I know how the coding worked, but yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say because it probably went. Get the first one, which includes 5 armor, and then get the second one, which includes 5 armor, instead of just the 2 effects and then 5 armor.
But the 5 armor is not
cool, though,
part of the wording for choose, right? So it doesn't say like, he had 5 armor already? Oh, I see. Oh. Okay, interesting.
Okay.
Because I remember Ben Broad being like, well, let me make a note of this.
Yeah, I remembered that too.
Oh, see, even Ben Broad can be wrong.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
But it would be cool if it worked like that.
Be
That
pretty.
would be
shouldn't, though.
ridiculous.
It shouldn't.
Yeah, that would
I'm
be
glad it doesn't.
stupid.
That would be absurd. Absolutely, absolutely absurd. But yeah, again, it's like they all look good. I haven't seen a Death Knight where I'm just like, yep, this is dead in the water. Also, we've had enough expansions now that we know you can be so damn wrong when looking at cards that you think are going to be bad. So
I actually, so I think the 2 poisonous spiders is probably going to be more often what you want, and that's going to be pretty good. Like, it's kind of just delayed kill 2 minions on your opponent's side of the board, or force them to use removal on these. And then, of course, obviously the hero power is insane. Dealing 3 damage to stuff at will from then on.
Or getting a big heal, like you.
Yeah,
you
constantly
have the
healing for
flexibility.
3. I mean, yeah, if you don't need to, it's gonna be really good. I think definitely Malfurion and the Pestilent is a really good Death Knight. So
I definitely see myself taking Scarabs if say this is in a slower kind of ramp style deck and I'm going up against aggro. I think just saving my face is a little more important to me than removing multiple small minions with only 2 poisonous spiders.
Yeah, but I'm just kind of thinking of on turn 7 more often. I think the spiders are going to be useful, but it really does depend on the matchup, of course.
Yeah. Well, let's move on and talk about the Death Knight I'm the most excited for. Uther of the Even Blade for Paladins, going to cost 9 mana. Obviously give you 5 armor, and has a battle cry. Equip a 5/3 lifesteal weapon, so a better Ashbringer. Just a straight up better Ashbringer.
Did you ever think that you would be saying that this is a better Ashbringer?
No, I never. I mean, granted, you have to pay 9 mana and wait till that point to actually get this Death Knight out. But yeah, no, I never thought I'd be going, did they just give us a better Ashbringer? I mean, kind of. I mean, it's not attached to a Tyrion, but it is attached to Uther. And then you also get a hero power called the 4 Horsemen, which for 2 mana, you summon a 2/2 Horseman. If you have all 4, destroy the enemy hero.
You just win. Doesn't matter if they have 90 armor and 30 health. You just kill them.
Yep.
It's amazing. Amazing from a flavor perspective. I think it's going to be ridiculously hard to pull off unless you're doing some stuff with the tournament cards in Wild. But
all I can think of is like back in the post GVG days of having my like mid-range or control paladin versus a control warrior, and how I kind of anytime I lost versus that control warrior, it was just because they had so much armor, there was nothing I could do. I wish I had Uther the Even Blade at that time.
Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be. I'm trying to think of some way to cheat this where you can, Auction Master Beardo and then play a bunch of cheap spells, but you still won't have enough mana to do all that, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you can. Auction Master Beardo and then Burgly Bully, and then you have coins, and then you get 4 hero powers in the same turn. So you got to get 4 coins with the Burgly Bully, get Beardo on the board. All right.
Just leave it to
then
Disguise Toast.
TK.
Just leave it to Disguise Toast. I'm sure he'll figure it out, and I'm sure it will be very hard to pull off. Very, very
it
difficult.
should be. I mean, yeah. But either way, it's not the actual killing people isn't going to happen very often, but just summoning 2/2s with your hero power is pretty sweet.
Right.
So.
It's going to manipulate it's going to make your opponent make very weird plays because they just can't let you keep getting horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they got to kill those things off. Exactly. So.
Yeah.
And even if they take all that away, just improving your hero power to something 2/2s, we already know is pretty good. And then of course 9 mana for a 5/3 weapon is pretty bad, but it has lifesteal, so at least know it's helping you get to the next turns where you then start summoning horsemen, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what they said on stream, right? Is it basically is 20 extra health because you get your 3, assuming they don't break your weapon, you get the 3 swings with the 5 lifesteal, so 15 plus the armor is 20. So it's a lot of health to play with, and they've got some cool. We'll talk about paladins in a little bit later, but they've revealed a card that helps a little bit with removal while still healing you at the same time. So, as if paladins needed more help with staying alive.
Yeah, well, let's move on. I was just talking about warriors. Let's talk about their Death Knight. Scourge Lord Garrosh is next. Going to cost you 8 mana to cast this DK with a battle cry that equips a 4/3 Shadowmourne that also damages adjacent minions.
Yeah, that thing is sweet.
I haven't even gotten to the freaking hero power yet. That's ridiculous.
It's so like I saw it actually used on stream. It was just crazy. I mean,
between
so much damage.
Turn 8, you could make the argument that 4 attack isn't enough to kill very many things, but it's not really truly how Hearthstone games play out. There's still a lot of minions on the board at that point that generally have, 4 health or less, or have been damaged, or there's been some trading going on, things like that. So yeah, you're gonna immediately get like a 2-for-1 already, and then the next turn you could do it again. The thing that you got to be careful of though is your hero power will no longer give you health from this point on. So, Taunt Warriors already dealt with that problem. So,
right. No, it won't. It's going to change your hero power into Blade Storm. Going to cost you 2 mana and deal 1 damage to all minions. So you just have a 2 mana on-demand Whirlwind.
Yeah, and that's going to be really good too.
Yep.
That's actually super good. I mean, that's just, you're essentially like your opponents are going to be like, I can't ever play minions anymore because you're just going to keep whirlwinding them down and killing them.
Well, that's okay
because executes in your sleep with the fishes and whatever,
Yeah, on my Paladin, I'm just going to get rid of my 1/1s and turn them into 2/2 horsemen, so I'll be all right.
That's true. Yeah, the Paladin will be like, yeah, it's fine. I'm a DK too. We're good.
Yeah, so between the weapons coming off of both the Uther Death Knight and the Garrosh Death Knight, get comfortable, Oozes. You're going to be waiting until the late game.
Yeah.
Oozes and silences, I think. Like, man, Spellbreaker and Ooze, they are going to feel like they have to be played in a lot of decks, I think.
Are we dusting off our Harrison Joneses?
Possibly.
Maybe.
And I don't mean dusting. I mean literally there's a pile of dust on them because I haven't used them in a while. All right, finally, final Death Knight, Blood Reaver Gul'dan. Going to cost you 10 mana with a battle cry that reads, summon all friendly demons that died this game.
Demon N'Zoth.
It's going to be... I can't wait for this. I can't wait for this in Wild. I want to bring back a second Mal'Ganis.
Yeah, you can bring and all those Dreadsteeds that are super nerfed. They'll all come back. Yeah.
All your little dudes off your Imp Master or Imp Gang boss.
The thing is, too, you got to remember, if you've played a Doomguard at some point, Doomguard will come back and it'll charge immediately, so you'll be able to also clear something up. So
yeah,
pretty sweet.
I feel like your demon warlocks in Wild they're gonna get purged a little bit so that you don't have too many 1/1 imps getting brought back by Blood Reaver.
Yep. Demon Warlock, though, was already really, really fun. And so now I think it might be fun and actually somewhat viable. Like, we know that a 10-mana card that brings back minions is super powerful and sees play because we have N'Zoth. So I think this is great. It's going to bring back a whole bunch of stuff that synergizes.
And we haven't even talked about the hero power yet. It's called Siphon Life. It will cost you 2 mana. It's not passive, thank God. Your hero power now has Lifesteal, and it deals 3 damage.
Yeah, this is insane.
WTF.
Yeah. Double Shadow Form plus Lifesteal on it. Yeah, you're suddenly not going to run out of health, and you're going to kill everything.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy.
And also, you'll have a board full of demons because you casted a Blood Reaver Gul'dan.
So I actually do think that it's possible that discard control type Warlock could be a thing now, because a lot of the discardy stuff is demon based. And now all of a sudden, at some point, you can, kind of reverse the game and suddenly start gaining like all that health back that you spent life tapping and everything, and summon all those demons back, and it's just,
It won't bring back demons that you discarded, right?
No. Yeah, just demons that have
stuff
died.
That you played and died. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Just thought you should make that distinction, but
yes.
I think you're right though.
But like, I'm just saying that there's a lot of discard stuff that also have demon tags on it.
Demon moniker on it. Yeah, we got.
So you don't have to like go super down the demon path. You just kind of already are a little bit, and then you're just gonna get those back. So.
Yeah, I really like the ebb and flow of the regular Warlock hero power going into this one, because like you said, Dales, I love the idea that it's like all game long, well, my health's getting lower, my health's getting lower, my health's getting lower. 10 mana, Blood Reaver Gul'dan, and my health's getting higher, my health's getting... I'm stabilizing because of Siphon Life.
And also, you're already, like, you're playing Doomguard in that deck, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing, you're getting back, like, seriously good demons, right? So... yeah, and there's a new demon card that we'll talk about when we get to that stuff, but also has the discard synergy in it. So, Kibler might be right about that Blood Queen Lanathel. It might be the card that like gets you there, so you can actually play your Gul'dan and then just flip the game from that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
Guys, I'm so can we just stop for a second? I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. It's so Death Knighty. These cards are insane.
Yeah, they did a really good job making them all feel super crazy, but I don't think any of them are OP because they're costed properly. Right.
These are all.
Yeah. I think the one card that I'm a little concerned with is Thrall.
Right.
Because it is so RNG, but that's Shaman's thing, I guess. It used to be Overload. Now it's just RNG is their thing.
Yeah. As long as Crackle doesn't come back. I'm glad their hero power wasn't deal 3 to 4 damage or something.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 to 4 damage.
2 to 4 damage. Yeah, something like that. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, it would be like 2 to 4, something like that. Yeah.
Yep. Nothing like that, please and thank you. All right, let's. We've talked about the Death Knights. Let's now starting at Druid, working our way through all the classes down into neutrals. We're going to talk about every card that we haven't already talked about. And Hadronox was already talked about, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Ultimate Infestation, I think, is our first one.
Yep. All right. So Ultimate Infestation is a 10 mana epic Druid spell that reads everything.
Basically.
Do everything.
Five everything.
Yeah.
5 everything.
Deal 5 damage, draw 5 cards, gain 5 armor, summon a 5/5 ghoul.
So immediately I look at this card and I think Big Druid, one of refresh your hand later in the game, kill something, summon a 5/5. Then I also think in that deck there's a card that some people run, some people don't, but I think you will once this card is in there, and that's the Bright-Eyed Scout, which draws a card and makes it cost 5. So imagine this card costing 5.
Imagine
That'd be
this
disgusting.
with Astral Communion. Astral Communion, and then you play this, and you refill your hand.
Sure, yeah, and then you have 10 mana immediately. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's obviously a wild deck, but hey,
Yes, obviously.
I'll have fun with that. Yeah, I don't think you can ever play 2 of these because it's just so damn heavy. But it's for 10 mana, it's doing a lot. Just drawing 5 cards kind of is worth 10 mana if you think about it. So.
Well,
Yeah,
and you have like the Firelands portal kind of built in with the 5 damage and the summon the ghoul, and then like you said, the card draw is amazing, and then 5 health gain too. Like plus all of that is built into one card, so it's like having like what normally takes up 3, maybe even 4 cards in a deck now takes up 1, and is way cheaper mana cost than all of those cards combined. So.
Yep. I
pretty
think
crazy.
it is going to be hard to play.
It will be, yeah.
But yeah, but when you find that moment to play it, it can definitely like just outright win you the game from there because you suddenly have a full hand and you've dealt 5 damage, and you know what I mean. It's like if you can find that turn where you can play it, it's kind of like that Jiraxis feel where it's like, it's hard to play. It's hard to play. It's okay. I played it. I win. That's kind of how this card feels.
Yeah, it's still exciting, right? Like everyone's losing their mind over this. I'm excited about Ultimate Infestation. Something I'm going to try and work in. I'm not sure I'm on board for the Bright-Eyed Scout because I feel like with my luck I'll get anything but this card, and it'll probably cost less than 5 when I draw it.
Well, yeah, but that card's already in Big Druid, and just because like when you get Yasharaj or any of those gigantic minions with it, that just wins you the game too. So. I think, I'll definitely play one Bright-Eyed Scout in my deck that plays Ultimate Infestation, and sometimes I will get my 5-mana Infestation and just rock your world,
And somewhere in the distance, you'll hear me go, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah. It will make my opponent very frustrated, for sure.
Absolutely. All right, skipping a few cards that we've already talked about, moving on to Strong Shell Scavenger, a 4-mana 2/3. This is a rare minion for Druids with a battle cry that reads, "Give your taunt minions +2/+2."
So if you play Crypt Lord and it lives, holy hell.
Yeah.
Turn 3 into turn 4.
Yeah, or if you can Spreading Plague into this, obviously you've made some Scarabs and then you give them all +2/+2. They're all 3/7 taunters at that point. So, if there is a way to make these taunt druids work, you needed to give them a couple more buffing options, and this could be it. Super weak body on its own for 4 mana, but if you hit just one minion with it, you're essentially getting Yeti's worth of stats, right? So
Right. And let's go ahead and talk about this in conjunction with the next Druid card, which is Druid of the Swarm. It's a 2-mana 1/2 rare, and it has a choose one to transform into either a 1/2 with Poisonous or a 1/5 with Taunt. So here is yet another new Druid card that has at least the potential to have Taunt.
Yeah, so
a
you
2
could
mana
go-
1/5 is not terrible.
Yeah. So if you go, like, them trying to remove 5 health is just going to be a pain in the ass on turn 2, turn 3. So you put that pain in the ass card down, then you put down your Crypt Lord, then you put down your Scavenger, and there's a possibility you might even hit both minions with the Scavenger, and then you're just laughing, right?
So with Fandral, is it just a 1/5 with poisonous, or is it a 2/7 with poisonous and taunt?
That's
we know?
Good question.
very good question. I would hope it would smoosh together the stats.
Yeah, I would think it would, but I know with the Druid of the Claw, it's just a 4/6 taunt with charge. But I don't think that actually specifies. I don't know.
I think it
I
takes
don't know
the
if
greater of the 2 stats and then adds all the effects.
And then adds
right?
all the effects.
Yeah,
1/5 taunt
so it's
poison?
not
Okay.
it's not an 8/10.
Druid of the Flame is a
with charge.
5/5. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right.
Yep. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
taking like the greater of the
Stat
stats
lines,
and then
yeah.
putting those together. Yeah, that makes sense.
So do we think another taunt archetype is coming to Hearthstone with this with these Druid cards?
I think it might work.
Maybe. Yeah, it's possible. It's definitely something I'll give a shot. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm giving Beast Druid many chances, and it never got there. So I don't know if Taunt Druid's going to be the thing yet, but we'll see.
I love talk about it like it's a kid or an employee. Like I have
Yeah.
given Beast Druid so many
Kept letting you
chances,
do it again,
and it
and you
keeps
just failed
stealing
me
from
one
the
more
cash
time.
register.
Beast Druid, you go get in the corner. Turn around and face the wall.
No more chances for you.
Also, because Druid of Swarm has a chance to turn into a 1/2 with poisonous. Not to mention the Death Knight can spawn you 2 1/2 spiders with poisonous. Let's talk about Web Weave, which is the next Druid card we haven't discussed. It's a 5 mana common Druid spell that summons 2 1/2 poisonous spiders, and also has an extremely fun illustration.
It does.
Yeah.
It's playing that. Do you get? Maybe you didn't do it, but that little like yarn game when you were a kid, where you
No, we
get a
played
friend
that.
and like
Cat's
yeah,
Cradle?
you pass the yarn back and forth. Yeah,
I never knew how to play, but kids would get super crazy with that.
yeah. I saw this art and I was like, this is so cool.
So apparently, so a lot of people think they saw this card and they thought this was garbage, but apparently they tested it at 4 mana and it was insane. So they were like, no, it has to cost 5. And I think it's actually going to be, I think it's going to be okay. I don't think it's fair. This is fair. This card is fair at 5 mana.
Which means no one's gonna play it because it's
I
fair.
can see why
Although
4 mana this
arena,
would be
'cause
broken.
it's common, right? So probably see a lot of this in arena.
Oh yeah. In arena, this will be a fine card. Yeah, I mean, 5 mana kill 2 things.
Yeah.
Is kind of what it is, right? So
Yeah, but if no board clears happened, and most board clears can deal with 2 health minions.
no, absolutely they can. But if like in arena, a card like Assassinate is actually a card you pick up, and a card like Consecrate or Holy Nova is a card that doesn't actually always exist in everybody's deck. So you're not as worried about that kind of
Absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah, I'm not arguing
So
for it.
minion fighting is a lot more important, and this card will definitely be pretty good there.
Yeah, I'm not,
And
I'm
I think
not
at
arguing
4
for its
mana, it
arena.
probably would be a little bit too good. So
I give you that. I think it's fine for arena. I'm talking mostly ranked. and
yeah, constructed's
gear.
going to be tough. Unless you can play this and then immediately buff them, but there's other ways to make. Like you're probably still, if you're trying to generate tokens to buff, you're probably still playing like living mana, right? So
Yeah. Final Druid card, Nash. It's a 3 mana common spell for Druids. Give your hero +3 attack this turn, gain 3 armor.
Very similar
Alright.
to their hero power once they become a Death Knight.
Yes,
yeah.
indeed.
Until Feral Rage goes away, like why would you ever play this, right? Because that's 4 and 8.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to choose one, but this gives you both. But still, this card will probably once that rotates out, this will be like the only option, right? So, but it's like a 1 cheaper bite, and bite doesn't see play. So
Yeah, but most importantly, with Nash and Web Weave, you can pretend to be the Death Knight for 8 mana as opposed to 7.
sure, 1 turn only. You could be a Death Knight with 2 cards.
And 1 more mana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's another removal option for Druids, and they don't have a lot, so it's possible that there's a reason to play this. But yeah, and people in the chat are saying Claw, 1 mana, gain 2 armor and attack. That doesn't see play. So
No, I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of it in constructed, but again, it's targeted removal in arena, so it's going to get.
Yeah, arena you'll take this. Arena you actually do take claw sometimes, but
yeah, that's the nature of the format. All right, let's move over into in a hunter. We already talked about the legendaries. Talked about Abominable Bowman, Toxic Arrow. Haven't talked about that one, right?
Right.
All right, cool. I'm totally prepared for this. 2 mana, epic spell for hunters. Going to deal 2 damage to a minion. If it survives, give it poisonous.
okay.
So I don't really like this card just because when you're damaging minions that are going to have enough health to survive, they're probably going to have enough attack to kill most things anyways, because like cards that hunters play that would survive 2 damage would be things like Highmanes and like your Kodos and Rhinos and like most of your other stuff.
Yeah, you want to be
has,
giving
like,
tokens poisonous if you're going to use that to kill something. Yeah.
So it seems like a very weird kind of marrying of effects here that I don't think is going to work.
Yeah, and two mana deal 2 damage to like an opponent's minion isn't very good. So,
yeah, unless I mean you can potentially kill it in the early game, but I don't know. I feel like this might seem good, like eye for an eye, and then sit in my hand for a really long time while I'm going, oh man, that has 3 health, and now it's going to kill all my stuff if I try to do this. So, I mean, you could always use it to finish off a minion, like attack first and then use the 2 damage to finish it, and then you don't have to worry about giving your opponent poisonous. But if you're doing that, you might as well
be playing Arcane Shot. Right?
Yeah.
Arcane Shot is just 1 mana deal 2 damage. So
yeah.
It's a worse Arcane Shot if you're using it on removal, and if you're using it on your own minions, I feel like there's, I don't know. I'm with you. I don't think it's really going to actually see much play. I know a lot of people are probably going to find reasons why this card is super good, but I don't think it will actually be very good.
I don't. Yeah. I agree with everything you said. Two points I would like to make is Discover exists, and this is you could get very creative with it. There might be times where you have a 3 health or anything that could survive it on your side, and you just really need to kill something on the other board, and you're like, oh, awesome, Toxic Arrow taking it.
Sure.
And then the second one is completely convoluted, but I want to share it anyway. Imagine, guys, I have an egg with 1 attack, and I really want to pop it, and there's something with 3 health that my egg wouldn't kill, but it also doesn't have enough attack to break my egg, so I Toxic Arrow my egg, or I Toxic Arrow the enemy minion and run my egg into it.
Okay.
It's ass backwards and ridiculous, but it's the first thing that popped into my mind.
Yeah. Absolutely. I will toy with this card. Right now, like, I'm not actually very confident that it's one of the cards that's going to make the cut in the end. But
well, that's the thing. Hunter,
I will give it a go.
Like Hunter has a lot of strong cards, so I don't know. I don't feel like there's going to be need or room for Toxic Arrow. I could be wrong, but I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you're playing Deathstalker Rexar, you're trying to be control-y, right? So here's another way to be control-y. So at least there is that. So that's where I will give it a go. Is just a Hunter deck that's just trying to make it to late game, right?
I dig.
And hell, my zombies, they'll have more than 2 health. I could make them poisonous.
Yeah, that's the point the chat room was making that I was going to bring up. But I mean, like, even then, I feel like the zombies are going to be in the same kind of realm as something like a Savannah Highmane, where they are already going to have enough attack to deal with whatever's on the opposite side of the board.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but yeah, like I said, it's another potential option in the Control Hunter. So that's where it would probably exist, and I'll give it a go. Just not confident it's going to stick in that deck. I think I'll probably end up being like, never mind. At some point. We tried. That's just how it feels to me.
Yep. Well, let's move on and talk about Exploding Bloat Bat. This is a 4-mana 2/1 rare beast for hunters. I love the name. And it has a death rattle on it that reads deal 2 damage to all enemy minions. So this is I wish Firebat was here so he could give me a look when I say this is like a bloated Firebat.
Yeah.
Fiery
Bat.
It's actually, I think this card is potentially part of that Control Hunter deck as well, because I can play this with my Play Dead, and I can, keep it on the board, as well as kill, like the fact that it's not my own minions, it's not Exploding Sheep style, Explosive Sheep or whatever it was. This is a way to AoE the board, and then I still have the little 2/1 on there that'll do it again, so my opponent will have to deal with it before he can start playing minions again. So hell yeah. In my Deathstalker Rexar deck, I'm playing that combo for sure.
Yeah, but while we're mentioning Play Dead, let's just go ahead and talk about that as well. It's our last Hunter card to talk about. It's a 1-mana common Hunter spell, and it reads, trigger a friendly minion's death rattle. But what's really important here is the amazing zombie puppy.
It's adorable. This is my cute card of the expansion. Screw you, Penguin. Have you seen the puppy? So cute.
He has, and that's why he's flicking off the camera.
So, Feign Death was a card that cost 2 mana that triggered all of them. So here we've got 1 mana to do it to 1. But that might be better just because, like, it was harder to get multiple Death Rattle minions on the board and then have the mana to play the 2 mana Feign Death. That was still kind of an interesting deck. You could also just play both of them in Wild if you wanted to and just be all about triggering Death Rattles.
And
we also have the 3 mana
Princess?
3/3 that does it, and the Princess, and yeah, exactly. So there's something here. It's kind of cool. Like I said, it's got the combo already built in with the Bloat Bat. There's another card coming soon called Arthas that we're going to talk about. That would be a pretty fun Play Dead card.
Yep.
So yeah, got some stuff here.
I also like the dog theme. I'm going to have a dog deck with Arthas and Play Dead.
Puppy deck. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, puppy deck.
I made when I first got Iggy, and we streamed, and he was here. We made an all puppy hunter. But I mean, I will say it had Savannah High Puppy in it, which isn't technically a puppy, but that deck was actually pretty good.
Well, hold on, because the high main does yield you hyenas, which are canines.
So I think that counts. Yeah. They're puppy-ish.
It ate the puppies.
We unleashed the puppies. We had
It ate the puppies.
Savannah High Puppy.
Well, wonderful. I'm glad that your puppy deck is getting buffed in Knights of the Frozen Throne.
Hell yeah. About time.
All right, let's move on to Mage. I believe we're starting with the word I cannot pronounce, simulacrum. How do you actually pronounce that? Is anyone here? No?
That was pretty close, I think. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's a 3-mana epic mage
It's a dumb
spell.
name. Let's just
It's
start
stupid.
There. This name sucks.
It's a 3-mana epic mage spell, and it reads, copy the lowest cost minion in your hand.
So this reads weird. It copies it. It's just giving you another copy of that card in your hand. So when a lot of people were like, "Wait, am I copying it? Am I putting it on the board? Where's this going?" But yeah, it's bad.
I think this might have a place in Quest Mage because this card would be a way to copy either your giants or your sorcerer's apprentices, right? Because Quest Mage otherwise is
true
mostly...
that you can get another sort. It's like instead of a molten reflections, you can do it in your hand before you get there. But the thing about molten reflections is that got cheaper with the sorcerer's apprentices that were already out there. So they would actually cost 2 in most cases, and then 1 for the second one. So this has to be played while those are not yet onto the board, unless you play the first one and then you copy one in your hand. And then so it is
just
technically like
I feel like it just gives you it's like another potential combo piece. It just gives you, it might let you get to your combo a little bit quicker.
But the way I really see this kind of seeing play is more in a deck that it now gives you like a second Archmage Antonidas or a second really important kind of late game card. And so I think in Wild you'll be able to do this where you play like a really control-y style mage deck that has a couple of super high value minions that cost a little bit more. So you just try to empty out all your low cost minions. And then for 3 mana, it's like essentially create a second Archmage or a second Emperor Thaurissan or a second Sylvanas or second Ragnaros or whatever. You know what I mean? Some actually like big, awesome minion. And then you can use it for that kind of thing. But even then, just like 3 mana, draw 1 card that happens to be Ragnaros is not actually that good. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it is. So it's weird. This is like the definition of wait and see card. I have to try this in something before I can ever really know if it's going to be a valuable thing or not.
I'm with you there as well. It's such a bizarre card.
Definitely better than Glacial Mysteries, though.
Definitely? I don't know.
I think so.
I think Glacial Mysteries, it could be really cool in some cases, but most of the time won't be.
It's cool because Discover. So there will be times where you're going to discover it. It'll have a discount. You'll already be playing your Secret Mage, and you're going to go, oh, damn, this card's actually kind of cool in this very specific context.
Yep, this one time it actually worked out. Wow.
That's what's so cool now. Is I know Discover's been around a while, but I don't know, the more and more I think about it, just its existence, you can look at these really weird, niche-y cards, and it's like, yeah, I'm never going to put it in my deck, but I'm going to find it randomly sometimes, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's a lot of cards that are like exist, and an eye for an eye will win you games now. We're in that world.
Yeah.
It's a good world, guys.
It's not how I look at card spoilers in other card games because I don't randomly get cards in Magic. So I believe you guys talked about Ghastly Conjurer while I was away. I actually talked about damn near.
I think we talked about all these except for the last two.
Yeah, I think the last two are the last ones because most of the Mage stuff was released pretty early.
Yeah. So Frozen Clone is next. Love the name. This is a 3-mana common mage spell. It is a secret that reads, after your opponent plays a minion, add 2 copies of it to your hand.
So, yeah, the weird thing about this card is it's kind of like Potion of Polymorph in that it's a card that your opponent will already naturally be playing around, right? Because Mirror Entity exists and Potion of Polymorph exists, and so now here's a third thing where they're like, okay, play low value crappy minions first. So you most of the time won't get super awesome stuff with it. Also, you don't know if you necessarily want your opponent's minions because they don't necessarily synergize with your deck. But again, sometimes you'll discover this and you'll play it. And also, if you're playing a bunch of, if you're playing just secrets mage, you just maybe want more possible secrets to put in, right? So here's another possible secret. Mana Bind often didn't make the cut in a lot of decks, but had a specific spot in certain decks that were trying to make, like Quest Mage, Mana Bind is great, right? So maybe there's some sort of secret mage that actually does like this, but I think most of the mages aren't going to be too excited.
You're not really, I don't know, I feel like mages have been so spoiled because most of the things they get to do, they get to cheat mana in some way. It feels like you're kind of getting ahead for what you're doing, and that's not really happening here with Frozen Clone.
I'm surprised it doesn't say something along the lines of they cost 1 less or something, to be honest.
Well, think about, like, Duplicate, we were definitely proven a little bit wrong. That card did have super value, but this is, like, worse than Duplicate because you don't get to put it on a minion that you pick, really. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. You're just at the will of your opponent, figuring out, oh, okay, well, let's play, my Wisp first. It's not really going to happen, but you know what I mean? Like, that type of... Like, opponents being able to play around it is the problem here.
Yes, well, when you get to rank 25 and see a Wisp come out, you can be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. But at rank 25, your opponent won't play around it. He'll just dump his, sweetest card. And you'll be like, awesome, thanks.
Final mage card, Breath of Syndragosa, 1-mana common should-be Death Knight spell for mages that reads, deal 2 damage to a random enemy minion and freeze it.
So works the same as the flame
cannon.
Flame cannon. Thank you.
Yeah, that was 2 mana 4 damage, so this is 1 mana 2 damage.
But
this is going to be a card you're going to see a ton of in Arena because early on in the game you're going to be able to kill a 2-drop with it and things like that. So plus, the freeze effect is pretty important here. This could potentially make Shatter a thing again when you discover it. So
it could.
Yeah, this is a fine card. I'm not sure if it's going to see constructed play though, but definitely a sweet Arena card.
Yeah, and even in Arena, if it's a 2/3, this lands on, it sets it up for the ping in another turn.
Yeah, you
it's
can
frozen.
ping it next turn. Exactly.
You have time.
So
yeah.
Yep.
Buys you time. Although I'm sad, this just to me, I'm looking at this. I'm like, confirmed. Death Knight never happening.
Well, yeah, you're right because this would definitely be a Death Knight card, but the other thing too is you could potentially freeze large minions and start going face too. So it does have there's value in here somewhere. Also, hey, with Cold Wraith for 4 mana, I can freeze something and then draw a card with my Cold Wraith on turn 4. Yay!
It's going to happen in Arena. It's cool that these exist, even though I don't think I'm going to be building a new age freeze mage anytime soon. But I'd be happy to be wrong because I've wanted freeze mage to be more like this. Like you're freezing minions in the board, and you're manipulating, and you're actually playing minions of your own, and not just waiting. Now I win. No.
Agreed.
Hope to be wrong on that front. Let's move on to Paladin, where again we've already talked about the legendaries. So Blackguard is a 6.
So this is the card. Sorry, this is the card I was talking about earlier that. Kind of helps you deal with the board while you're also healing. So
Oh, okay. Yes. It's a 6-mana, 3/9 epic paladin minion that reads, whenever your hero is healed, deal that much damage to a random enemy minion. You're absolutely right, Jocelyn. This, like, combined with that Uther weapon.
Yeah.
Insanity. I mean, it is specified to a minion, so you're not going to get an insane value if you're just trying to burn face, because Blackguard's not going to give you extra hits to face because it specifies minion. But still.
No, but it's definitely like a control the board kind of thing. And with all of the ways like, I mean, you've got your true silvers, you've got all of like your forbidden healings, and it just like, they're constantly healing. And so imagine when you're constantly healing, then to also be throwing that damage back at the enemy board, like, this card seems really good. Plus it's a 3/9, like that's just going to be difficult to deal with, right?
Yeah,
it's turns earlier than the 4/8 Primordial Drake that sometimes people have trouble getting through, so... Yeah, this doesn't have taunt, but
it's still
kind of has pretend taunt.
Yeah,
soft taunt.
The one thing I think about is like control Pally and Paladin's ability to control is something they're not really already having a lot of issues with. They still have so many tools to control the board if they want to. So I think a Blackguard's inclusion is kind of hinging on what the heck the meta looks like after Knights comes out. If there's going to be a lot of control mirrors, that I think Blackguard's going to see a lot of use, because it's like, well, what would I like in this? I know even more ways to clear the board.
Oh my God, chat room just said Rag Lightlord. So Rag heals. Oh, if it heals your face, though. If it heals a minion, it doesn't work. But if it heals your face, then he also becomes normal Rag and then hits the enemy's minions.
Yes, so
That's insane.
If an undamaged Blackguard and Ragnaros are the only two things on the board, it's going to hit your face, and as long as you're damaged.
Yeah.
Which is a funny thing to go in. It's like, oh man, no, I don't want to heal too much. I want Rag to be able to heal me, so my Blackguard does 8 damage randomly.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, again, normal Rag they can't hit face, but still great.
Yeah.
Still great.
What say you, Dills? Blackguard.
You talking about Blackguard?
Yeah.
Yeah. Combo. It's a lot of combo potential here. And the fact that it has 9 health means it's going to probably stick around a turn. So even if you play it just like on turn 6 and then on turn 7 you do your healing.
That's still probably fine.
I'm super glad it says minion, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see this and then a 20 damage, forbidden healing combo to just hit your face. Yeah, please no. Thank you. In Wild, Healbot, though. This will be sweet with Healbot.
It'll be sweet with so many things.
Ragnaros shot to something, right?
Yeah.
While you're healing for 8. Hell yeah.
Beautiful.
It's a cool card.
Yep. Already talked about Light Sorrow. Let's talk about Arrogant Crusader. He even looks arrogant. It's wonderful. It's a 4-mana, 5/2 rare paladin minion with a death rattle that reads, if it's your opponent's turn, summon a 2/2 ghoul. Sadly, the ghoul is not wearing a 2/2.
So we got another card where you're never going to trade with it. It's always going to hit face because you want the death rattle to happen, right? So we got a few of these cards now. And they're all kind of weird. And they're all aggressively statted, which makes sense, but they're all very strange, and I don't know if they actually see much play. I don't think we want to play a 4-mana 5/2, but
I'm not sure we do either. And also force it to be our opponent's turn.
Yeah. Yep. So, doubtful on this one, but, sometimes we get it in arena, I guess. Smash face with it. And your opponent will be like, damn, I have to kill it. Now you get a 2/2. Okay.
Yeah. Desperate Stand is next. It's a 2-mana rare paladin spell. Give a minion death rattle. Return this to life with 1 health.
So it's basically like giving death rattle of redemption, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's putting redemption on a specific minion, essentially, right? But for 1 more mana.
Which you can already kind of do if you play your secrets and your minions correctly. You can manipulate it so that you're getting the right thing to have redemption.
Yeah, true. I kind of see this being something you might use in like a wild deck because Tyrion is obviously great when you have redemption on him. It's kind of hard to set that up, but you can do that like on turn 9 and things like that. So obviously there's that possibility. But Tyrion comes back oftentimes and then replaces 2 charges of your Ashbringer, kind of thing. It's it's niche, right? What this card is really going to do, but obviously, like if you're playing a N'Zoth Paladin, you might want to get right now N'Zoth Paladin sometimes just runs Tyrion and Cairn. So if you can just get one more Tyrion or one more Cairn, okay, fair enough. Then your N'Zoth brings back two Tyrions or two Cairns or whatever it is. So
4 Tyrions in a game plus any that you happen to discover off of your Stonehill Defenders.
Yep.
Seems all right.
Maybe it's a one of in that type of deck, but outside of that, it's yeah. You're already playing Hydrologist, right, and discovering Redemption sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
Right. This is a card I'm glad it exists. For all of the reasons that you mentioned, I like the idea of being able to choose when my redemption-like effect goes off and guarantee what it goes on. I like that these kind of cards are here. I don't see it finding a spot in my constructed decks, at least not right out the gate.
Yeah. I think there's going to be some cool stuff in Wild with this card, though. Make a super N'Zothi Death Rattly Paladin and then play this thing, too.
Yeah. Final Paladin card is Dark Conviction, a 2-mana common spell that reads, set a minion's attack and health to 3. So for 2 mana, Keeper of Uldamon minus the Keeper.
Yeah, no dude attached.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was a 3/4, which is like 3 mana's worth of body. So it's like for 1 mana, you were doing the same effect. So you're spending a little more to do it, but obviously in Standard Keeper is not an option anymore. So if you want this effect, this is kind of your only way to do it. Also, you can turn your own minions into 3/3s. So you
could turn your Righteous Protector into a 3/3.
Sure,
you could.
Yeah,
you absolutely could. Or your tokens, or whatever sub 3/3 minions you're already on board. Yeah, I have a better idea. Just play Paladin and Wild because they have a lot of really good cards.
Yeah. So the thing about this card is we already have Aldor Peacekeeper, and then if you really want, and now we have Sunkeeper Tarim. Like, do we need another version of this effect? Or is it kind of overkill to have this card in your deck as well? I think that's the real question. So I'll give it a go, but I'm not confident that it'll stick around in my deck.
Yeah, I'm not either. Let's move on to Priest then. So we already talked quite a few Priest cards. I don't believe we've touched Obsidian statue, right?
No, this one came out during our show last week.
Okay. Oh, right, because someone right after the fact on Twitter was like, you didn't talk about the new Priest World. We're like, we're in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's a 9-mana, 4/8 epic minion for Priests with Taunt, Lifesteal, and a Death Rattle that reads, destroy a random enemy minion.
This seems really good, especially like I mentioned Stonehill Defender a couple minutes ago. You can discover this off Stonehill Defender, which I think it has something like somewhere between 22 and 24% chance to discover this as a priest off of Stonehill Defender.
You didn't used to play Stonehill Defender and Priest at all because there was no good taunt minions. Now there is one.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to disagree with really good. I'm going to say pretty good because it does cost 9 mana.
Yeah, 9 mana.
9 mana is a lot. So it should do something pretty powerful for 9 mana. But when you actually can just play this card, it is going to be... Like, I still think Primordial Drake is better for 8 mana.
Well, that's because it does something to turn you play it. Obsidian Statue, you play it and cross your fingers so they don't have removal.
Yeah, yeah. But it's still, like, yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad card. I'm saying it's a very good card. I'm just saying it's not, like, a lot of people are like, this is broken, too good. No, I think it's totally fine. It's a 9 mana card.
Well, and the thing, Garrett, you said hope they don't have removal. Even if they do have removal, unless it's a silence, then they're going to remove your minion, and if they have anything on board, then that's going to die too. So
when I say removal, I'm including transformations in there. I think of things like Hex and Polymorph as removal as well, which completely nullifies Obsidian Statue.
Yeah, in fact, that's probably but those types of things are going to happen anyway. But they oftentimes like that kind of stuff loses you the game, right? When you pay 9 mana to play something, and then they pay 3 mana to get rid of it, essentially. So it's always a problem. But this card is not. This card is still going to be played in Priest, but I don't think a lot of people thought it was just like this is too good. This is OP, and I just want to rein those people in a little bit and say no. For 9 mana, this card is doing about 9 mana's worth of stuff, and that's fine.
And it's in a class where it's kind of okay to play greedy because you're Priest. Your games usually go long because of your healing capability and just the overall speed that this class has historically played. So if anyone's going to, I think, find a way to make a card like this work, it's totally going to be Priest.
They
Yeah,
also have
totally.
free from Amber, so they can discover this.
That's true.
And, yep.
Free from Amber, this for 8 mana, this is even better.
Yep.
Gross. I like it. I like it a lot. Shadow Essence is the next priest card that we have not talked about. It's a 6-mana rare priest spell that reads summon a 5/5 copy of a random minion in your deck. Eat your heart out, Barnes.
So 6 mana
But no
5/5
body,
isn't
no
good, but if
Barnes.
you get a 6 mana 5/5 with really cool text, that's sweet. So definitely gonna give this a try. In a deck that has a lot of heavy, crazy stuff in it. You know, gonna have all the Aceras, the Obsidian statues, the Deathwing Dragon Lords, all the stuff like that, and then we'll summon a 5/5 of those once in a while.
Yeah, I think
Could
this
be fun.
I think this card absolutely has some potential.
Or Arthas. Oh,
my
Oh,
lord.
yeah.
I
We
mean
haven't-
the
we
Lich
haven't-
King. Excuse me.
We haven't talked about the neutrals yet, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm sure anyone listening has already
getting
seen Arthas, but we'll get there. Don't worry. We'll get there. Already talked about Devour Mind, Eternal Servitude. Let's just keep trucking along into Acolyte of Agony, which is a
I
3...
think we can just truck right on past this guy.
just to mention it, so at least we can say we mentioned every card. It's a 3-mana 3/3 common priest minion with lifesteal. Cool dog. See you in arena.
And pretty cool art.
Really cool art, actually.
It does have cool art, that's true. But yeah, if I would just play Earth Ring Farseer, and I don't, so I'm not going to play this either.
See you in arena. See you in arena.
Yep, see you in arena.
Yep. Has Shadow Ascendant been covered?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No.
Shadow Ascendant is our last priest card then. It's a 2-mana 2/2 common priest minion that reads at the end of your turn, give another random friendly minion +1/+1.
So must be dealt with. It's an onboard tempo engine. If you can hit one minion with it, you've played a 2-mana 3/3 essentially. So that shouldn't be very hard. A lot of times your cleric will still be alive by turn 2. So you get a 2/4 cleric, and then next turn you can buff something with +3 health. So it's a card your opponent will be like, okay, I better do something about this quickly, or it's going to snowball out of control. So super good
Which
in
is
arena.
kind of how they already feel about your clerics, right? Like, cleric has
Yeah.
that same thing. Like, oh my god, I have to deal with this, and then they deal with cleric, and then, oh no, now there's an ascendant too.
So I guess the question is, do you add this to a deck that already exists that runs like Radiant Elemental and stuff, or because that's probably still the better two cost card. So you're making like a tempo priest kind of deck if you're running this, right? And we'll see. Like that has to be a good archetype, like a tempo style priest, for this to be a thing. But with a lot of sticky death rattly minions, it's pretty likely you'll get this on something, and then your opponent will have to go, okay, do I kill the death rattle thing that I need to kill, or do I kill this stupid shadow ascendant that I have to kill? And they'll put him in a weird spot. So there's something here.
Having to choose between this or killing a cleric is, I think, always going to be acid reflux inspiring. Keep drawing cards or keep getting 1/1s. Yeah, I like it, and it's in keeping with the tradition of low cost minions for priests, which typically are a little understated, as long as you're not playing Dragon Priest. But yeah, on to Rogue. Lillian Voss. So this is the first legendary we're going to talk about since the Death Knights. This is a 4-mana 4/5 Rogue legendary with a battle cry that reads, replace spells in your hand with random spells from your opponent's class.
I think
So,
that seems
yeah.
really good.
It's going to be good sometimes, and sometimes it's like you can't play it because you have good spells in your hand. So,
But like
it's-
replacing like coins or your counterfeit coins and stuff.
Sure. But if your deck is putting counterfeit coins in, you already have a purpose for them, right? Like they're in there for a reason. You're not just gonna fill your hand full of, or fill your deck full of cards that you would rather turn into other things with Lillian Voss, right? What Lillian Voss really is for is when your hand is terrible at that certain point of the game where you have nothing to do, you have just nothing but preps and coins and things, but you're trying to play Miracle, then you got a chance to improve your hand. But I actually think this is gonna be better in a deck that's generating opponent spells already, and then sometimes their spells aren't that good, and so I get a chance to like try again, right? And I play a Yeti, so it's not like I'm really losing any tempo to do it. So
Right, so something that's already grabbing Swashbuckler, doing Swashbuckler.
But basically,
things,
if I, like, let's say I played, my ethereal peddler deck, and I've got all the ways to get opponent spells, and I'm just like, man, none of these are good. And then I got Lillian Voss, I'm like, sweet, let's try it one more time.
Yeah.
And then they all turn into something else that's maybe better. Or I'll play the ones that I do like, and then keep the ones I don't like, and then and I'll play Burgly Bully probably and try to generate coins, and it'll be fun.
When you play that ethereal peddler deck, though, Dills, will you attach a slot machine arm to the side of your monitor?
Of course.
Good.
Gots to.
Make sure you pull that before you play Lillian Voss. In seriousness, I'm glad you brought up Lillian Voss as a hand fixing mechanic, because I hadn't really thought of her that way. I just kind of looked at her and I'm like, man, this is really cool, but I'm probably not going to put it into my deck because of, like you said, even coins. Like, well, if I have coin there, it's there for a reason.
Yeah,
well,
it's
Razor
there because
Petals
it's
is
a
another
cycle spell with my
option.
Auctioneer, and it makes my Van Cleefs bigger and that kind of stuff. Like, I have a reason for the coin.
Yeah.
So the reason for the coin shouldn't just be turn it into a random enemy spell. But like I said, like in the deck where you generate a bunch of stuff, sometimes you're gonna have bad stuff, and so here's rebuy.
Yeah, I like it. Frankly, I just think it's a really fun card, and I'm excited to try some super heavy RNG decks with Lillian Voss. Let's move on and talk about Spectral Pillager, who is so happy about the loot she has found. This is a 6-mana 5/5 epic rogue minion with a combo that reads deal damage equal to the number of other cards you've played this turn.
Thank God this costs 6.
Yeah. So it's weird, and it will be good sometimes, but sometimes it won't be very playable. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you want to put a 6-cost card in the deck that's trying to play lots of cards all the time. But yeah, if you could deal like 3, or if you deal 3, it's like a worse fire elemental, right? If you deal 4, it's like a better fire elemental. But yeah, that means you had to play 4 cards before it, so it's going to be hard to do.
But yeah, again, Razor Petals and coins and stuff like that. And
no, the rogue would be the class that could make this potentially happen. So
yeah, I think there's a combo that I am not thinking of that might make Spectral Pillager really gross.
Well, so one of the problems, like with the what's the card that comes back to life? Sherazin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, there's many cards that.
No, but like one of the problems with Sherazin, and Sherazin did turn out to be pretty good. But one of the problems is sometimes you burn cards just to bring back the Sherazin, and so you're not actually using them in a way you would have normally, and so you're suddenly like you're losing value and you're just being wasteful because you're just trying to get your Sherazin back that turn. Mm-hmm. And there will be times where you're just going to be wasteful with cards just trying to get a bigger battle cry out of this Spectral Pillager, right? And it might actually be a detriment to your overall game plan. You'll do more stuff that turn, but the next turn will suffer, and the next turn after that will suffer, and things like that. So this is another. It's like wait and see. Like it could be a very powerful effect, and it could just be just not good enough, right? We just don't really know until we play with it.
But when I have 2 backstabs and they have 2 minions, and I need to do 2 damage to win, I'm gonna be happy I had Spectral Pillager.
Sure. Yeah, you'll
deal
two backstabs and then a 6-mana 5/5 that deals 2 as a battle cry, which is actually like I said, worse than fire elemental, right?
Yeah. I'm digging deep for the most asinine excuses to say a card is playable. Let's talk about Doomerang, a 1-mana epic spell, which reads: throw your weapon at a minion, it deals its damage, then returns to your hand.
This seems really cool, and I love the art.
It's very cool. The weirdness, though, still is like we now have seen all of the cards, and Shadowblade is still the only like new rogue weapon. So, getting you attack once with your Shadowblade, and then for 1 mana you throw it at something, and then essentially like say draw Shadowblade, right? So, but you lose the second hit. Like so, it's like you still on your first Shadowblade you only played half a Shadowblade, right? So it is still cool, but I think it's again like I think a lot of people looked at this and thought it was super OP. I think it's just totally a fair card. It's just awesome. It's just a really cool card.
I'm anxious to try it in a pirate rogue that buffs my weapon.
Sure. Oh, hell yeah. Or the Burgle Rogue that plays Obsidian. What's the Obsidian? 4-mana 3/3 weapon that gets cheaper every time you play.
Isn't it just shard? Obsidian shard or something?
Obsidian shard.
Yeah.
Because that would be a good one because you'll use 2 of the charges and you didn't pay that much for the weapon, and then you get it back, and then you start playing opponent's cards again. So then you got something there too, for sure.
Yeah. I like Doomerang. I don't think it's insane, but it's a very curious card, and again a very very unique, very creative design that we haven't seen so far in this game. So let's go and talk about Roll the Bones, a 2-mana rare rogue spell that reads: draw a card. If it has Death Rattle, cast this again.
I just love these cards. I love all the cast them again cards. I love Roll the Bones because it's something rogues do all the time in Warcraft. So I love the theme of the card. I think this is great.
So somebody apparently did the
draw
math.
More.
Yeah. Somebody apparently did the math on this. If you have 15 Death Rattle cards in your deck, you will average 2. And so 2 mana draw 2 is pretty good.
Yep.
I would definitely play it. And sometimes you'll draw 3 and 4 and you'll outright win. And sometimes, yeah, you'll only draw 1. But, even in that case, it's not terrible to just like...
You're still cycling through your deck.
Yeah, people play Flare and stuff and don't feel terrible about it, right? When all they really do is draw a card. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like this card a lot. I don't think, again, it's OP, but it gives you... This is, I think, better than Raytheon, because it was hard to play that many dragons and actually have your deck be good. You could play a lot of Death Rattle minions.
Yeah, there's a lot, especially if you go over to Wild. Like, you could probably have your entire deck be Death Rattle minions, and it would still be a good deck.
Like, if you played all dragons, your deck was just too heavy, so you can only really ever play, 9 or so dragons. But you could definitely, in Wild, you can play 15 Death Rattle minions pretty easily, so...
Yeah, I think it's a good risk to take in your Death Rattle rogue. Bone Baron is next. It's a 5-mana common 5/5 with a Death Rattle that reads: add 2 1/1 skeletons to your hand. And
they're 1 cost, right?
I believe. I went looking for
1/1s?
the token. I could not find it.
I would assume they'd be 1 cost.
Yeah.
Well, unless they're free, but...
I think we saw
if they're free, why wouldn't they just be summoned?
Yeah, exactly. Well, if they were free, that'd be super sweet because, again, you're a rogue and you want to enable combos, right?
Right. If they were
summoned,
to
play lots of cards in a turn and do all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it's kind of like the Razor Petal Lasher, right? It's like here's a weak body for its cost, not that weak, but kind of weak. That gives you cheap cards to then do other stuff with later. So, definitely very roguelike and a very cool card. And it's a Death Rattle minion, so hey, roll bones. Let's draw this bad boy.
And then draw another bad boy. And then activate some combos. And we already talked about Plague Scientist and Leeching Poison, so it's on to Shaman, where I believe we're moving into Snow Fury Giant, which is just the happiest damn looking giant. Okay, this is an 11-mana, 8/8 epic elemental minion for Shaman that costs 1 mana less for each mana crystal you've overloaded this game.
Seems good.
Yep. So it's each crystal, not each time you've overloaded.
Yeah. So when you overload 2, you're getting this 2 cheaper, right? So, yeah. I mean, you'll get this down pretty cheap if you play a lot of overload cards. I'm glad that they gave us an overload card again, because it felt like they're just giving us nothing but these random effect cards. And
yeah, there was 2 expansions in a row I think we didn't see any overload.
Yeah. Oh, and the chat's pointing this out too, which is kind of cool. This is the first 11 cost card in the game, so now you can actually evolve 10 cost cards for the first time, and devolve 12 cost cards. Wow.
Wait, does that mean if it's the first 11 mana, they're guaranteed to be Snow Fury Giants?
It will always become that's the only 11 mana minion, right?
Oh, so. That's disgusting. Just to troll us, they need to give us like a 1/1 11 mana minion.
So in my in Wild, I have this deck that I made because of the Overload quest, and it's basically just aggro Shaman, but all the Overload things are kind of aggressive cards anyway. So in that deck, I'll just be like kind of killing your face, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh look, free 8/8. So yeah, it'll be sweet there too. In Standard, it's gonna be a little tougher because there's not like we've lost some of the super sweet overload cards.
Totem Golems.
And also, again, Tunnel Trog, which was perfect for this
Yeah.
type of deck, right? But still, I think we'll see people messing around with Overload Shaman again, which is cool.
Yeah. I think this is a good card. I'm very excited about Snow Fury Giant and getting my Overload back on. Getting those Unbound Elementals back in. Let's do it. I missed that card. Let's talk about Avalanche next. A 4-mana rare Shaman spell reads freeze a minion and deal 3 damage to adjacent ones.
Weird.
It is
Yeah.
weird. No 3 damage on the minion frozen, but 3 damage and not frozen dealt to the adjacent ones.
So it's going to force down when you're playing against Shaman. Suddenly you're going to have to, in Arena, you're going to suddenly have to worry about placement for the first time.
Which is good. I like when cards make the players then think about placing
Sure.
minions.
Yeah, but I don't know if this is good enough for constructed play, but I definitely we'll see it plenty in Arena because removal is removal.
No way. Removal's removal?
Yeah, removal is removal, guys. I
Is
don't know
it?
if you knew this.
I didn't. Oh my god. Yeah.
Minions are minions. That's right. You heard it here first.
You just dealt.
Next level analysis, Dills.
You just.
But I mean, yeah, no, but it's like when you are drafting Arena decks and you see a card that kills things, you're like, yeah, I'll take that. So, yeah, I'll take it. But I think in constructed, maybe if the freeze Shaman thing takes off, this could be a card that goes there. But outside of that, it's gonna be weird in constructed, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dracarys Defender, 3-mana, 2/8. This is a common minion with taunt and overload 3.
So same cost and stat line as
Deathlord.
Deathlord. I was going to say Dreadlord, but I knew that was wrong. Deathlord. And then so your drawback here, instead of giving your opponent a minion, is a 3 overload.
Skip your next turn.
Correct.
Yeah, basically.
Because when is this card good? It's good on turn 3, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not going to be that great on turn 8, where you're overloading for not like your overload doesn't matter as much. So I don't know. I don't know if this card is actually
Right,
good enough because I don't want to skip turn 4.
Right,
Yeah.
on curve, is it worth having 1 mana on turn 4?
I don't think
Probably
so.
not.
I don't know.
I'd
Like-
still rather play Spirit Wolves, right, and get essentially 4/6 worth of taunts and only overload 2, and that leaves like a totem on turn 4. I don't know. Nah.
You know what's funny is
Pass.
say this is the very beginning of spoilers for Frozen Throne, and they showed us Snow Fury Giant and Dracarys Defender. I would have gotten really excited and been like, oh man, there's going to be more minions like Snow Fury Giant that cost less for every time you've overloaded, and that's why you're going to play Dracarys Defender. Turns out, no, it's just Snow Fury Giant.
That's just it.
Yep. So I'm very lukewarm on Dracarys Defender, which is funny because he looks very cold.
Yeah,
I
if
just-
it
I
was
feel
overload 2, I think you would see this get played. But
Well, yeah, because I mean, even if you're trying to stop something super aggressive like druids or pirates, then they're probably still going to be able to chew through this, and then you're not going to be able to do anything the next turn. So
yeah.
I
And
don't even
Deathlord
know,
actually
like-
had like a very specific purpose where you were like milling people, right?
Yeah.
Like you were pulling minions out of their deck. They didn't get the battle cry.
Mhm.
What are you talking
then
about, Dill?
oftentimes you were playing it in a deck where you had removal options ready, so you didn't mind that they pulled the minions out. It was a card that had its like little niche there
Dills,
because you were a deck that was built for it, right?
You're forgetting the best reason to play Deathlord, which is the Confused Priest that we built like a year ago.
Oh,
yeah,
that's true.
Confuzzle, yeah.
Yeah,
You
Confuzzle
can't
Priest.
confuzzle in Shaman.
Yeah.
All right.
You can't even play this and then Kooky Chemist next turn because you're overloaded for 3. So yeah.
Yeah.
It is
Also,
a good
think
card
about
to get
this.
involved into get evolved into, though, right? Like, so now you've got all your little 2-mana
That's
stuff.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll evolve two drops into this sometimes.
Oh,
So
that'll be
that'll be
nasty.
a thing. But that's not really like worth discussing like this card itself, right? Like it's for 2 more mana you can play 7/8 taunt with overload 3.
Right.
Earth Elemental, right? So damn.
Seems much better.
2/8 overload 3. Nah.
It is. Yeah. No, I'm right. You're absolutely right about the evolve. Chat room's even bringing it up. Like much like some of the other weirder cards that we've talked about today, I think the random finding aspect of Hearthstone makes cards like this cool to talk about. But as it is, I don't see myself putting Dracarys Defender into 1 or 2 of my 30 deck slots anytime soon.
Yep.
Burlock.
I just thought it was worth mentioning just because of Thrall specifically, the Death Seer, where he can evolve stuff, and especially with his battle cry 2 more. So you have like, assuming you have 2 or 3 totems on board, then there's a pretty good chance you could end up with a 2/8 taunt, which, yay!
You're absolutely right.
Right?
I think it's great. I would like to see a card that specifically says evolve into a shaman minion. So it kind of narrows the possibilities.
Right, because there's no, it's not the same as like Discover where it favors class cards, right? It's just Evolve is just anything in that mana cost. Yeah.
Correct. But
it's too bad.
Enough about that because it's time to talk about Burlock.
Sorry.
A 2-mana 2/2 common Shaman Murloc with a battle cry that reads freeze an enemy. The best card in the game because it's a freaking frozen zombie Murloc.
This will be a good arena card. It's a 2-drop that freezes their 2-drop and then allows you to kind of control the action going into the next turn. But unless Freeze Shaman's a thing, this probably won't see constructed play. But if Freeze Shaman is a thing, here's another way to do it, and you actually play body with it. So that's sweet.
Freeze Shaman did seem to get quite a lot of tools in this expansion. Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of nice that it's not just like, okay, we're gonna say, 2 freeze cards this expansion, and it's just gonna get better as time goes on, like they've tried with a lot of other archetypes like Beast Druid or Taunt Warrior. It's like this time they're like, no, you know what? We want to try Freeze Shaman. Here's a whole bunch of tools. Go.
Yeah, so there's a 1-mana 2/1 elemental that does the same thing. So you're paying 1 more mana for 1 health.
More health.
But if you're playing Freeze Shaman, you probably just want both of those, right? You probably just want lots of ways to freeze stuff turn after turn after turn. It's cheap. So.
And it's a Murloc, so what if you are like a Thrall Death Dude, Death Seer, and you play Murlocs and the Quest?
Oh, God. So many things going on.
So many things.
Jocelyn,
If you play Quest Shaman, though, you will get this from the 8/8 Murloc that fills your hand full of Murlocs. So there you go.
Yeah. Hey, Jocelyn, please go build that deck and report after the launch.
Will do.
Hear how good it is.
How good my Quest Murloc Freeze Shaman Death Seer deck is.
Exactly.
It's going to be amazing. You guys don't even know.
And you may utilize the next card for 2 mana called Ice Fishing. It's a 2-mana common shaman spell that reads draw 2 Murlocs from your deck.
So yeah, this is really good if you're playing Quest Shaman, but nobody plays Quest Shaman currently. So some people play it in Wild, to be fair, but in Standard it does not really see any real play. But maybe 2 mana draw 2 is good. Maybe there's something here.
And obviously if you're drawing Murlocs, you're probably playing a Murloc, and you're guaranteed to get Murlocs. So Murlocs.
Because Murlocs.
Yeah, and if you're drawing specifically Murlocs in a Murloc themed deck, that's sweet. I mean, that's what you want to draw, right? So
yeah, you
could pay currently 2 mana and Overload to draw 2. So now you can avoid the Overload and specify the kind of card you get. So cool, dig it.
Yep. All right, moving on into Warlock with Treachery, a 3-mana epic Warlock spell that reads choose a friendly minion and give it to your opponent. So we need more minions that you want to give to your opponent before this ever becomes super good, right? Because right now there's only a few. There's the new bomber that deals 5 to yourself when you Right.
There's you could technically say unlicensed apothecary, and then you give them that, and then you start forcing them to play minions like Leroy or something, and then they take some damage. But I don't know. Even still, you're like...
There are scenarios where you'd want to do that with Doomsayer because it'll force it to go off immediately after you hit end turn.
Yeah. The problem is even still you're giving them like a body. I don't know. Yeah.
There's also the 2/2 that summons a 5/5 and then with the death rattle of summon a 5/5 for your opponent. So you could, swing with the 2/2 and then Treachery, and then when it dies, you get the 5/5 instead of your opponent getting the 5/5. So you get both.
I agreed with everything except swing with it because you're gonna have to wait a turn, and that's scary.
Well, yeah, you could wait a turn, yeah.
But yes, yeah.
Yes, you could combo it with that. But yeah, you're right. Or the explodey guy, the abomination dude.
Gonna have to be more specific.
The ticking abomination, the one from this set that was like
that deals damage to your own.
Yeah, that deals damage to your own minions. Yeah, so you play it and then go, shabam, now that kills your board, not mine.
Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of people talk about Doomsayer, but it's a 2-card 5-mana combo. Yeah, maybe sometimes, but most of the time, I just think right now there's just not enough of these cards to make this super good. So
right.
But maybe the next set we'll see some more of these cards, and then you'll be like, okay, now it's cool. Now it's awesome.
That's where I land on this. I think this is an extremely cool trick, like a trick card, and we don't have something like this currently in the game. I like it. I like that it's like this reverse play on what priests can already do, and they're giving it to warlocks. And I'm excited for what the future holds now that Treachery is here. Even if I don't even care if 2 years go by and we don't get a good answer, but if 3 years go by and we get something cool we want to give to our opponent, cool. I'm excited that Treachery is in Wild.
Yep. And and if you are playing a super control heavy warlock, this is another option to board clear, right? Mm-hmm. So you'll have this, you'll have Twisting Nether, you'll have all your current AoE.
Defile.
Yeah, you'll have Defile, you'll have Shadow Flame, you'll have Fellfire Potion, you'll have all the stuff. So it's another tool in the toolbook. But is that tool good enough to put in when you already have all those other tools? I don't know. That's I think the question.
Yeah. Well, let's move on and talk about Despicable Dreadlord. It's a 5-mana 4/5 rare warlock demon that reads at the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions, including itself.
What?
Including itself? He's not an enemy minion.
It's enemy
enemy minion. Sorry. You start reading too many things.
Wait, what?
No.
But I mean, yeah, this card's really good. I think this card's really good. And if you're playing Summon Back My Demons that died this game, hell yeah. I want a 5-mana 4/5 that keeps taking damage on my opponents for sure. I'm down.
Yeah, I just feel dumb now, so I'm going to move on.
It's all right, man. Like I said, this is part of the conversational nature of a podcast, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a 4-mana. Well, I'll just say real quick. There's a 4-mana 2/4 that dealt damage to all minions in Hunter that never really saw play, right? So it's possible that this doesn't, but I think, and there's also the 6-mana Dread Infernal that doesn't really see play, but the fact that it's just like enemy minions is
it's sweet, only enemies, right?
Yeah.
So that's the difference, I think.
It's just good. It's just good.
It is weird though, right? Just enemy minions and Warlock. Like Warlock is kind of the thing of we hit everything. That's what we do.
That's what happened in my brain. Was I know I read the word enemy, but my brain didn't hear it. Anyway, Unwilling Sacrifice is next. It's a 3-mana rare warlock spell that reads, choose a friendly minion, destroy it, and a random enemy minion. There's plenty of times where I'm okay with this, especially in Wild when I'm rocking eggs.
Yeah, no, now we have 3 cards that benefit from destroying our own minions, right? Mm-hmm. So that's enough probably to start playing Egg Warlock.
Mm-hmm.
I dig it.
And especially in Wild, where you can also do Power Overwhelming and stuff, and Power Overwhelming and then kill the minion.
Not about Power Overwhelming.
Get full value. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think I'm going to try, because I have a Wild Zoo that I never really mess with in terms of the cards that go in and out of it. I'm going to try and find a spot for Unwilling Sacrifice, because I am running Nerubian Eggs in that deck, not to mention Power Overwhelming.
And this goes directly into my Dreadsteed deck, because I just get that Dreadsteed back. I can do it again.
But aren't they now summoned at the end of the turn, so you can't do it twice?
Well, no, I could do it next turn. Oh God!
No, that isn't. Oh God!
I did it twice in one turn with one Dreadsteed.
I disagree. That is a big oh God. Before I could have just been like Unwilling Sacrifice, Unwilling Sacrifice. Ha ha! Now I have to wait a turn and bad things happen.
That wasn't going to happen that often. Like, I'm of the mind that I don't think Dreadsteed's like now suddenly unplayable, like a bunch of people seem to think.
I don't know. I always
Dreadsteed's still fine.
I always Rivendared plus Dreadsteeded, so I was getting so many damn Dreadsteeds, and now I'm gonna have to wait till the end of the turn. And
you still get them. They'll just come at the end of the turn.
I don't like it. There are downsides. I realize that you're not as angry about it as I am, but I'm angry about it.
But I played a lot of Dreadsteed, and I still think I'm still going to play a lot of Dreadsteed. I was playing Dreadsteed last night. There was like a few, so like the times when it was really a thing was Avenging Wrath, Cthulhu, Knife Juggalo, that kind of stuff. But That stuff didn't happen often enough to really make it terrible. So I'm good with it. I'm good with it. We get to have Defile. We couldn't have Defile without it, so.
All right. Now, this isn't fair because I've been screaming for Defile since the inception of this game. This is an unfair tactic, Dills. I don't like it. I see what you're doing.
You can only have one or the other. All right. Which one do you want?
Well, I don't know. I've had Dreadsteed and it's really fun. I haven't played with Defile. It might suck.
Yeah, that's true. We might be screaming for them to change it. Like, change it back, Blizzard.
Change it. Like, just add one more line of text on the file. Except Dreadsteeds. Just omit Dreadsteeds. Anyway, let's talk about Howl Fiend. It's a 3-mana, 3/6 common Warlock demon that reads whenever this minion takes damage, discard a random card.
So,
this
yeah.
is another one. This is, I think, another one where you want to, like, give it to your opponent. Give it to your opponent,
maybe.
start doing, like, maybe even cast Defile and ticks of damage and make him discard his whole hand.
I think you're overvaluing...
You're talking, though, about, like, an 8-card combo for 8 mana that... Yeah.
Yep.
It's whatever. I think more likely.
Jills.
Yeah.
Let me
More
have
likely
fun.
you just play it in your discard Warlock because 3 mana 3/6 is really good.
I mean, it's out of their hand, not out of their deck. So okay, I guess that's fine. But also discard Warlock is a thing, so discard my own things. Let's go.
I think this is kind of what they needed. Is they needed some. Like, this is better than, like, Succubus, right? Because Succubus didn't have enough extra stats to really justify it. But here, like, you got enough extra stats to justify it, and you're controlling the board. You're allowing yourself to stay alive longer, and you're doing the discarding thing. I think this is the kind of stuff they needed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where was this in Ungoro when they're like, we're giving you some beefy discard minions that are going to help you get there? And it's just like, it wasn't enough. It was not enough. That quest was bad. I like Howl Fiend.
Yep.
And the last Warlock card, Drain Soul, a 2-mana common Warlock spell with lifesteal. It also deals 2 damage to a minion.
So we have a 3-mana version of this already in the game, right? Drain life.
Yes.
But can that go face?
I don't know.
If that can't go face, then this is literally like rip drain life, right?
Drain life reads just deal 2 damage.
Yeah. Well, no, and gain 2. Restore 2 health to your hero.
But I mean, it doesn't say deal 2 damage.
So yeah,
to a
so
minion.
you can go face with it. Okay, cool. There you go. So drain life, you still have a place, my friend. It's a card that like I never play with, so yeah, that's why I just don't really know. But yeah, so drain soul, better drain life because most of the time you use it on minions anyway.
Right. And it's in the common slot, and it's a class-specific card, and we know how Arena works, so this is a very cool addition because of Arena.
Well,
and chat's going nuts saying, spell power.
So the healing scales, I think that's
how many
the
Warlocks
point
play
they're
spell
trying to
power? Let's be real.
People have been yelling spell power since vanilla Hearthstone, and it's just really never been a thing. Like, it's outside of Malagos combo decks, it's never really been a thing.
Well, evolved Kobold Freeze Mage for a while, yes, but yeah. It's still like a specific case, and Warlocks aren't going to use spell power, or spell damage, I should say, except what it's actually called. But it is true, if you have it, you will get more of a heal.
Rad. That's fine. It's a perfectly fine card, and I'm very excited about seeing it pop up, hopefully frequently, in my Arena runs. Rotface, as we move into Warriors. This is an 8-mana, 4/6 legendary warrior minion that reads, whenever this minion survives damage, summon a random legendary minion.
Seems good with that Scourge Lord hero power.
Or any other whirlwind effect from Warriors, yes.
Or Blood Razor, or the friggin' the Ravaging Ghoul, whatever. There's many, many ways to deal damage to your own Rotface and summon a random legendary. The fact that you're putting it directly on the board, too, is a pretty big deal here. We have seen this effect before. Obviously, Priest had, the Inspire summon.
One.
Yeah, but that didn't really get used very often. So we'll see if Rotface paying 8 mana for a 4/6 is going to be, that's pretty bad. So you're going to have to immediately get the damage and then the extra minion to make this at all playable. But
Yeah, I can't remember what the stat line was on that one, but I feel like I tried. It was Professor somebody, Paletris maybe, or
Yeah, Paletris. Yeah.
Paletris. Yeah, I can't remember the stat line, but I felt like it died all the time. Like it had 4 or 5 health.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if this will actually.
It was a
survive
5/4 for
longer.
5, right?
Yeah,
But you played
So
it
it
on
just-
7.
because you wanted the inspire effect. Yeah, so I feel like it died all the time.
Yeah,
very,
I mean,
very quickly.
yeah, like I said, 8 mana 4/6, you're gonna have to immediately damage it. Oh, she was 7 cost 5. Oh yeah. That's
Yeah.
7 cost 5/4. That's right. But yeah, so I mean, it probably shouldn't have better stats than this, but it might be the thing holding it back. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not convinced. Random legendaries just historically are not as good as you think they're gonna be.
No, but they're very cool. I like Rotface. Not going to my Pirate Warrior, but if I crack him, I'm going to try and make him work.
Yeah,
and
sometimes
and
Rotface will summon Rotface, and then you'll just get more Rotfaces and then more random legendaries. And yeah,
If
be
Rotface
sweet.
summons Rotface, I hope it does an abomination version of everyone get in here. Or even without that, that'd be fantastic. Now I really hope that that's the sound effect. That's a terrible sentence. All right, we haven't talked about Death Revenant yet. This is a 5-mana, 3/3 rare warrior minion with a battle cry that reads gain +1/+1 for each damaged minion.
Yep. So enragey whirlwindy warrior is totally a thing.
you're really gonna have to have at least 3 though to make this at all good, right? Because a 5-mana 5/5 is not good. That doesn't do anything else. So it's gonna need to be at least a 5-mana 6/6 to be good. That's
Right.
hard to set up. That's kind
Well,
of hard to set up.
I think the thing is, I mean, it doesn't have to be your own minions.
True.
So
That's true.
combining both boards, I don't think it's the most insane thing in the world. And I think if this was 1 mana less, it would be an absurd card.
No, I think again this is its fair stat line because you're right. Like the enemy minion thing matters a lot. But again, it's like in the ebb and flow of a game of Hearthstone, the board stays relatively clean most of the time, right? And it's not full of giant minions that can take whirlwind effects, right? Oftentimes when there's a ton of minions, they're all small. So, it's possible, but again, I don't think like just paying mana for stats is oftentimes not something that makes it into Hearthstone decks, just historically.
Fair enough.
Like usually you want cards that do stuff, right? Not just like, here, I played a big thing,
Right. Yeah, it's an archetype I haven't that hasn't really panned out. This kind of enragey, self-damaging warrior outside of some niche cases, like just including Frothing Berserker in your Pirate Warrior deck. But if again, I think it's a wait and see. If that archetype becomes a thing, I think Death Revenant finds a place just as a piece of the overall puzzle.
It is a part of it's for sure a part of that deck. I agree. And there is so many now whirlwind effects, and obviously if you become Scourge Lord Garrosh, you have it on demand at any time you want. So
And
so
Blood Racer,
you can definitely
that
see
has
it.
2 whirlwinds built in.
It's just that most of the time what you want in Hearthstone is you want cards that battle cry do something. Not like 4 mana 7/7 was always a joke, but that card was never like totally broken. Like it was good, but it was the fact that it came out so early and was so big, right? This card's still coming out on 5, and then to make it like a 7/7, you have to have 4 damaged minions, which means you have to invest something to damage the minions, usually. So it's probably not even on 5 most of the time. It's probably coming out on 6 or 7, right?
No, I agree. Forge of Souls is the last warrior card we haven't already discussed. It's a 2-mana common warrior spell that reads draw 2 weapons from your deck.
Sweet.
I love the theme of this card, and I just love this card. This is just rad. We haven't seen something like this. I like this targeted draw. Anything that thins your deck always gets me excited.
It's very similar to the Shaman Murloc card.
Yeah, except it's
probably better.
right. Except it's for
His
overall.
weapons are just better than Murlocs.
Yeah. This is draw I would consider putting in my pirate deck.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because that's so key That's so key to the pirate warrior strategy is just getting the weapons, and sometimes you're like, damn, I can't draw my weapons. All I've got is a bunch of pirates.
My weapons.
No weapons to buff them with. Yeah, and yeah, this solves that problem. Like we thought Hobart Grapplehammer was going to be okay.
I was just going to say, what about Grapplehammer? I have him.
Now,
I want to play him.
Yeah, because now you can play him and then make sure you actually draw some of those weapons that before you weren't. Like you would play him and then he basically affected a bunch of stuff that you never drew, right? Mm-hmm. And so he didn't really do anything. Now, yeah, you play him, then you draw those weapons for sure and start swinging face. Sweet.
Well, I love having a podcast because you two remind me of cards that have never seen the light of day and therefore I have forgotten about completely. I want a Hobart deck now. Thanks.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
So this is are these the first times we're seeing like tutor style effects in Hearthstone, which is seek specific cards? Have we seen that before? I guess we had the 4/6 that drew 10 cost cards.
Yeah, I was going to say with the
there was some stuff.
Old Gods there was some pull your, but it's been cost, not type, I think.
Yeah, and like this is, and the other problem too is usually it was not like in a spell form that saying specifically draw two of them at the same time. Like wow, cool. Oh, parrot. Yes, we had a parrot right from the beginning. There you go.
That's right.
That parrot that saw so much play.
Sen Stevens is another one.
Curator. Sweet.
That's correct, Sen Stevens. So yeah, it's been there.
It's okay. It's not a true tutor effect because you're not actually going through your deck and picking the card, but it's similar to that.
It's the Hearthstone version.
The Hearthstone version.
Hearthstone's never going to let it. I don't think. Well, never say never. Maybe in 20 years, but no time soon is Hearthstone going to let us scroll through 20 plus cards and pick one.
That'd be cool.
I'm not against it. I would love that.
I would like it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind it.
But I said this on the last one, and I'm going to say it again. Like, this is reminding me of Magic, this set. What we're getting, we're moving closer and closer to some of these more nuanced effects of Magic. And I know we just, like chat room just proved that there have been effects like this since the inception of Hearthstone. But all the other cards we just rattled off have not seen play. This is one I think we'll see play.
Yeah. Like, okay, Arcanologist definitely saw play and Curator saw play. But when we're talking like Sense Demons.
Right.
We don't have spells, Right,
we're talking about the, yeah. So you know what? There's been quite a few of these already, but I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, it just feels like we're seeing a bunch of it now. And there was always kind of a thing where it was very specialized and spaced out, right? And they were never good enough to play. That's the thing. Like, they always felt pretty bad. So suddenly, like, 2 weapons for 2 mana? Holy crap. Yes, please.
Yeah, especially for all of the times that I play Warrior, and I never start with my Fiery War Axe. But every time I play against them,
they always do.
They always have it. They always have it. All right, cool. Well, let's move into neutrals, which means we get
Garrett's getting really excited.
We get to kick things off with the Lich King. He is a card. We are going to be able to get the Lich King. It's not named Arthas. It is named the Lich King, but it is freaking Arthas. He's sitting there or standing there with his armor and his white hair and all that jazz. Lich King turns out to be an 8-mana, 8/8 legendary minion that has taunt, and it also reads at the end of your turn, add a random Death Knight card to your hand. And now I'm going to tab over, and we have 8.
What's a Death Knight card?
8 freaking cards.
At first, I thought it meant the heroes, and I was like, what the F? For a second, I thought like any class could turn into like any other class's Death Knight, and I was like, this is insane.
A lot of people thought that. Yeah.
Yep. And
it's
so
like, what is happening?
Let me go rapid fire style through the 8 Death Knight cards, and we can have a conversation about the whole kind of group. So let's kick things off. Death and Decay, a 3-mana spell, deal 3 damage to all enemies. Army of the Dead, 6-mana spell, remove the top 5 cards of your deck, summon any minions removed. 2 mana.
Remove, not draw, right?
Right. Summon any removed.
Right.
So removed from the top 5 of your deck. So it's basically a discard in essence. Death Grip, a 2-mana spell. Steal a minion from your opponent's deck and add it to your hand.
And that's not copy.
That
takes it out of their deck.
Take it.
They don't have it anymore.
Right. Doom Pact, 5-mana spell. Destroy all minions. Remove the top card from your deck for each minion destroyed. Cool.
Intense.
Frostmourne. 7-mana weapon, 5 attack, 3 durability. a death rattle that reads, summon every minion killed by this weapon. I'm done. I retire. All I'm going to be doing is trying to get Frostmourne from now on, guys. I'll see you later.
Total loregasm. This is perfect. I love this.
How have I never heard that? Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I'm very excited about Frostmourne. But we're not done yet. Death Coil, 2-mana spell, deal 5 damage to an enemy or restore 5 health to a friendly character. Love the theming of that. Obliterate, 2-mana spell, destroy a minion. Your hero takes damage equal to its health. And finally, Anti-Magic Shell, 4 mana spell, give your minions +2/+2 and can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. All right, so Arthas is Ysera, costing 1 less, having more attack, fewer health, and giving you bonkers cards.
Insanely powerful cards. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I like that they all have different costs, though. I like that they aren't just like spare parts were, where it was like not very powerful, low cost, everything's the same. I like that they were just like, what things could Arthas do? Here's all the Arthas stuff.
They're also super lore like centric and all fit exactly what their names are. Like this Arthas is super good.
Yeah.
So I remember like early on I said, please tell me that the Lich King is a neutral legendary minion that we can all play in every deck we can mess around with. Thank you for giving me that, because I would not want it to just be like only Paladins have the Lich King.
Yeah, no, that's wrong. Because yes, Arthas specifically was a Paladin that turned into the Lich King, but once he becomes the Lich King, he's his own thing entirely. He's a Death Knight.
Yeah, well, plus all of the classes can turn to Death Knights, and how Death Knighty is it to also be able to play Arthas in those decks, right? So this card is super cool. It is going into every single deck I make at the beginning. Like on Thursday, I'm just gonna go, okay, let's put Arthas in. Okay, now what else?
And now what else? Yeah. And the other thing is too, and chat room's pointing it out as well, is because the Lich King has taunt, you can discover him off of Stonehill Defender. Yep. So you could potentially have 3 Lich Kings in one game on your side of the board, which is insane.
You can also resummon him in the Druid deck, right?
Right.
He resummons the taunt minions. Yep. So yeah, the fact that he has taunt is definitely a meaningful thing.
Wait,
he also dies to Black Knight. Ooh.
Why stop at 3, Jocelyn? Go to Wild. Put Bran in there, and then Stonehill Defender.
Oh my God.
Why stop there?
Disgusting.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, we don't know for sure. Not in the game. Going to have to test it. But is this just the best damn card in the set? Are we entering an era where we're going to see a legendary that is included in most archetypes across the board?
Like he won't be in aggro decks, but
like
anything
pretty
that
much
wants
any
to control deck,
mid game or control, yeah.
Any control deck will probably play this card. I mean, he feels really good to me. Again, like I'm gonna have to see how it actually feels to get this random Death Knight card. How does he ever live a second turn to get another one? You know, Ysera does, but Ysera has 12 health. So.
Yeah. And she doesn't have taunt, so you can hide her behind
she doesn't have
something.
taunt, so you can hide her. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so there's, I think he's as fair as you can make this card be. Because there is an 8-mana 8/8 with taunt that doesn't see any play, but it doesn't draw you a damn card at the end of the turn. So, and a really good card. So this is definitely, I predict lots and lots of Lich King out there.
Mm-hmm.
Which means you might want to play Black Knight. Which means you might want to play, you might want to have ways to just kill this thing pretty easily.
Oh man, the lore ramifications of the Lich King dying to the Black Knight make me very sad.
Right?
It is kind of weird, right?
Yeah. There's some lame 5-man boss from the Ice Crown expansion.
Just dusting the Lich King whenever he wants.
Yep.
No, that's no good. That's no good. But the Lich King is, and were there any thoughts on the 8 Death Knight cards before we move on to the next card that gives you Death Knight cards?
I mean, they're all super good. I would say, there's going to be some potential where Doom Pact is going to feel like a card you can't play as you get towards like late game and stuff if you are playing a control deck. But now we also there's other cards now that put more cards in your deck. So maybe those cards do, like, we didn't see this card or these cards until now. So some of those cards I was like, yeah, this is no good. And now I'm like, well, maybe there is a reason to do that, because if I'm playing Lich King and I'm sacking cards to do stuff, or if I'm playing an Army of the Dead and things like that, maybe I do want to refill my deck. So I love the fact that as a full set comes out, we start to really kind of see, oh, there's interaction here that I wasn't aware of, and it makes things make a little more sense. But yeah, every single card in here is OP as hell. Obviously, like dream cards, sometimes you're going to be like, I really need this one, and you're not getting it.
Yeah.
But whatever. That's the drawback that needs to be there. If you could like select one of these, holy crap.
Yeah, I like the idea that every class gets a chance to potentially play Frostmourne, so that makes me happy.
I like it a lot.
Weapon Priest.
Yep.
Here we go.
Well, 1 in 8 chance, but yes, absolutely. Well, then since we're done talking about the Lich King, let's get really silly and talk about Arthas,
His faithful servant.
the 4-mana 2/2 legendary beast that made me groan so hard when it was revealed. But it's okay, because it has a death rattle that reads, add a random Death Knight card to your hand. So good boy, Arthas, good boy.
What I don't understand is why Arthas, who is clearly a ghost, is a beast and the spectral spiders are not.
You're damn right.
Good point.
You're darn right, Jocelyn. We should start a petition.
Literally unplayable.
Yeah.
So he's I mean, you're paying 4 mana for a 2/2. That sucks, but you're getting a Death Knight card, which is awesome.
Plus, with all the like we were talking earlier, especially in Hunter, with all the like feign death and the play dead and the trigger your death rattles, Arthas seems pretty good.
Yeah, and then there's of course like Death Rattle Priest, with the quest and stuff like that. Here's another one that does something, and oftentimes if you're playing like a control style deck, you can kind of afford to just pay 4 mana for a 2/2, because sometimes, like a lot of times with control decks, you're just like doing nothing, right? So he will be played in some decks. He's not, but I'm glad he's costed the way he is, because I don't want a 3 mana 2/2 that gives me one of these sweet ass cards. Like, there should be a little bit of a drawback to him, right? And I think it's about right.
I just don't want to see something that makes me groan as much as Arthas in every deck if it was costed that aggressively.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, wait. Chat room is saying his flavor text is "There must always be a Lich King."
Is that true? Because that's
I hope that's what everyone's
incredible.
Been saying since we've been
apparently
since we
flavor
started the
text
show.
is out.
The flavor text is actually in the game now.
Oh, that's incredible. That's so freaking incredible. This is so bad, but so great. Like, this is so Hearthstone, I guess. This is of all of the cards in this set, Arthas is Hearthstone achieving singularity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, these Death Knight cards are so good, so... Yeah,
they should come at a price too. That's something you said when we first started talking about the cards from the expansion. Is the whole idea of the Lich King is the power comes at a price. So I like it.
Yep. Very, very fitting the theme very well. Obviously, you have to talk about Potion of Madness, because against the priest, you're going to feel pretty sketchy playing this card.
Yep.
But as long as you don't play it with other minions on the board that he can run into, you're probably okay.
It'll be fine. I'll be a hunter. My Stampeding Coda will be out. Arthas will die immediately.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, Hunter for sure. The fact that he's a beast means, obviously, you look at Hunter right away. And, of course, Death Rattle stuff. So,
right.
That's where he goes.
All right. I guess we're done talking Death Knight cards now. They knocked it out of the park on Lich King. I couldn't be happier. I absolutely could not be happier. Furnace Fire Colossus is a 6-mana, 6/6 epic neutral minion with a battle cry that reads, discard all weapons from your hand and gain their stats.
Weird. I don't know if I want to discard my weapons.
I was just thinking,
guy.
Even I was like, oh, well, maybe if you're warrior, you could do the draw the weapons and then, play Furnace Fire and then he'll be huge because you'll have 2 weapons worth of stats. And then I was like, but then you lose 2 weapons. That doesn't seem good.
Also, if he gets removed.
And again, like I said, historically, just making a big dude isn't always the best thing to do. So
It historically has not panned out in Hearthstone because of getting 2 for 1 or 3 for 1 and so on and so forth.
It's just, I don't know. It's a card it's just whatever. This might as well just be vanilla something that's not going to see play. I don't know. It's just, I don't think so. I'm not seeing it.
No, because it turns your weapons into minion buffs, and it's the turn it plays it. Yeah, no, it's just gonna sit there and get removed. I don't like Furnace Fire Colossus. Sorry, you can go away. There's so many Geists. Did we talk about Skulking Geist? I know we talked Tomb Lurker.
I don't think we did
didn't
because
talk about Skulking
we
Geist yet.
haven't talked about the potential impacts on Jade Druid, so I don't think we've talked about this yet.
Fantastic. So it's a 6-mana, 4/6 epic neutral minion with a battle cry that reads, destroy all 1-cost spells in both hands and decks. So as Jocelyn already alluded to, could spell Doom for Jade Druids, but will it really?
I don't think so, because I don't think you can afford to play this against almost anything else, right? So I'm going to say one thing first, which is that thank God it doesn't say destroy all 1-cost spells and gain +1 for each one it destroyed. Because I'm so sick of that as a mechanic. And so Blizzard, good job. You didn't do it. You didn't make a stupid 1-cost spell crab. You made a Skulking Geist, which is just so much better. So the problem is like it's a 6-mana 4/6, so it's going to be terrible unless you're killing Jade Druid specifically with it. Is Jade Druid going to be a big enough problem that you're going to need this card? Probably not. And the thing too is, you're killing the Jade idols, but they still have all the other ways to make Jades. They can still win. It's not like you're crippling them completely. So
it's removing their infinite cycle, right?
Yeah, that's not how they really win, though. They don't usually win in the infinite part. They win just because they're like 7/7s and 8/8s by that,
Right. I think
like a lot of people talk about the fatigue thing, like that's how Jade Idol actually affects things. It's like, no, it's the 11/11, the 12/12, the 13/13. Like, that's what's killing you.
Yeah. That being said, there are control matchups where that does happen, and much like we did start putting Eater of Secrets in when we went up against enough mages that we were losing to secrets, I could see a world where Skulking Geist can eke out a card slot, specifically in a control deck that is having that issue of losing in the fatigue game to Jade Druid. But beyond that, I don't even think you should even consider including Skulking Geist.
Yeah, and again, like Jade Druid's going to have to be everywhere for this to even be a consideration, and it's going to have to like Eater of Secrets literally like just outright win you those games. And yes, it's good against them, but like there's plenty of cards that are good against specific things, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that those cards all see play. So
I do think it is important to mention, though, that it does say it destroys all 1-cost spells in both your hand and your deck. So it's kind of good against any deck that comes out with a combo that includes a 1-cost card, right? So you've got, the Silence Priests. They've got their, I can't remember which one it is.
Fire.
Is it Inner Fire that costs 1? I knew one of the two costs 1.
Yeah. Because the other one was 2 mana double health and then 1 mana equal.
Right.
Yep.
So, I mean, it kind of depends what sort of decks are actually going to, like, it might also be good against Rogue, because Rogue's going to have a whole bunch of little stuff they want to use to enable their combos and stuff. So if you can say, like, whatever you're holding on to that might enable combo-y things, no more. So I think it just depends how, because obviously Jade Druid is the obvious, like, this counters Jade Druid, but I think there's a lot of other 1-cost spells that people would kind of be holding on to that could combo things, and I think that's worth mentioning too.
Well, I did look into how many 1-cost spells there are in Standard, and outside of Jade Idol, it's really not that scary. Like, and again, like, they're not. I mean, that's a valid point for sure, but it's like in Rogue, you're going to be killing like 1 mana deal ones, right? That they generated,
that they created,
yeah. So it's like, at least currently in the game, there's just not quite enough 1-cost spells to really do things. But like, it's got a spot. It's got a spot. If Jade thing, it's like, that's the biggest thing, and that's of course what everyone's talking about.
Yes.
So if you need to be countering Jade, here you go. And it's good that there's a possible way to do that, right? Like, it's kind of like the Nerubian Unraveler. Like, it's good that there is a way to counter spells. So, by the way, it is only spells, not minions. 1-cost spells.
Right.
Yeah. So someone in chat said something about Hunter Quest, and no, you won't kill. You won't kill the aggro
kill
minions.
yeah.
Yeah, don't worry. You won't kill minions, and Hunter Quest killed itself. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Hunter Quest was never a problem.
Pretty much all the quests killed themselves except for Warrior and Mage in some scenarios. All right. We already talked about Tomb Lurker. Let's move on to Death Axe Punisher. This guy is having a great time killing ghouls. This is a 4-mana, 3/3 epic neutral minion with a battle cry that reads, give a random lifesteal minion in your hand +2/+2. So hand buffing, but to lifesteal minions and not to a specific clan in Gadget Zan.
So maybe hand buff Pally, because Paladin has probably the most playable minions with lifesteal built in, right? Because they already have Wicker Flame Burn Bristle Beard guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the name right.
They got that guy.
You know, this guy with the stuff.
There's I'm looking through the neutrals, and there's only, I think, like 2 other minions in the neutral set that have lifesteal. There's the new little 1/1, and then there's the 5-mana 4/4 beast. I don't think there's anything else, right? Unless I'm missing something. Outside of that, everything else is yeah. So Paladin has the Charger guy who has lifesteal, right? And then of course
the
Wicker
Chill
Flame.
Blade champion.
Yeah, but probably not enough to make this a thing.
Maybe in a set or 2.
Maybe if more lifesteal cards come out. If it was like every lifesteal minion in your hand, you could maybe say that Jaina Death Knight thing would play it with a bunch of elementals, and then you could like buff your whole hand of elementals that now have lifesteal. But it's only one.
Is that how that would work?
That's my question.
Do they...
if it said every one, but yeah, I mean, I think once they're elemental, I think they'll just say lifesteal on them.
I think the question...
Yeah, did they actually? I don't think they change card text. I think it's more like an
aura effect.
Aura once they get on the board. I don't know. That's interesting though. I wonder how that works.
I don't know. We don't know.
We don't know, but I bet someone will start a Reddit thread about it. Oh!
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Rattling Rascal. Let's just move right along. I'm sorry, Jocelyn, but for me, this wins cutest card of the damn set.
It's also really adorable. It's the mini sword. It's all the time. When you give something cute and adorable, also has a mini weapon, that's, it's like, oh, you're trying so hard and you're so cute.
I just like the giant head. Anyway, Rattling Rascal is a 4-mana 2/2 epic neutral minion with a battle cry that reads, summon a 5/5 skeleton, death rattle, summon one for your opponent.
Cool.
So I want to give Rattling Rascal to my opponent with that Warlock Treachery card.
With Treachery? Yeah, sure. People are asking why we skipped Meat Wagon. We're skipping the cards we talked about on previous shows, guys. So,
yep.
Already been talked about. So, yeah, I don't see this card really seeing that much play, and Treachery making it work is probably not enough to do a thing, but sometimes it'll be the best card you can get in Arena, right? Sometimes.
Yeah. Which just makes me sad,
like,
because
you know,
I want to play this.
the bomb dude, the bomb squad guy, like killed something, summoning a 5/5 and then later summoning a 5/5 for your opponent. It's like I get more out of the deal than you because I get a 2/2 as well, but I paid 4 mana for that.
Daniel Newman brings up a good point from Tice. This is worth considering in an evolved deck.
Sure. But
Also,
then, I mean, wouldn't you rather just Doppelgangster evolve? Like,
yeah, Doppelganger evolve is just so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think it's not bad. I mean, the Rattling Rascal in and of itself is 4 mana. Plus, you'll be evolving the skeleton, and you're only going to have 2 Doppelgangsters in your deck. So it's worth considering.
Yeah, maybe. It's possible. Just so it's a 4 mana and a 5 mana minion instead of 3 5 mana minions. So you get a 5 and a 6 instead of 3 6s.
Yeah, well, how about your Thrall Deathseer deck, right? Because now you probably want to play Doppelganger, and you probably also want this, because once your hero power evolves it, you can evolve it just with the hero power, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That'd be cool.
I'm just laughing at Denmark in the chat room who says it's a 4 mana 7/7. It must be great.
Specifically in Shaman.
Yeah, so if they, that's the one spot where it could possibly do a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right, we already talked about Corpse Taker, so let's talk about Dracarys Enchanter, a 3 mana 1/5 epic neutral minion that reads, your end of turn effects trigger twice.
Double Arthas
Pretty
card.
good ones out there, right?
There are some pretty good ones out there. You're absolutely right.
The Warlock minion that does 1 damage to enemy minions at the end of your turn turns into 2 damage. All of a sudden, he has a built-in Consecrate every turn. Seems good.
Dill, since you're the keeper of the Dreadsteed, does this now work on Dreadsteed?
Oh, damn.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I haven't seen the new text, so I guess the text on it would be at the end of your turn, summon, like, Death Rattle. Well, actually, I don't think it would, because it would say Death Rattle first, right? Death Rattle at the end of the turn, summon this back.
Yeah, not the little lightning thing.
Yeah, I think it has to just say at the end of your turn. But we got the hand buff dude, the 5-mana 4/4 guy. We got like this, card generation dudes. Lich King.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. In Wild, thank you, chat room, double Emperor ticks.
Yep. Ysera.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
And
the rags.
And in Wild,
Ragnaros. Sure.
Yeah. Ragnarosi.
The Ragnarai. Yeah. There's lots and lots of ways to do this. The fact that it's 3 mana, though, it's going to be hard to... You can't combo it with 8 mana cards, right?
Right.
So
that's why I want Thorison in
have
Wild,
it live
man.
a turn.
Thorison, dog. Play Wild. This is a wild card. I love it.
Hell yeah. Oh, yeah. And it'll work on Thorison, too. So.
Yeah, not only will it work on Thorison, you're going to want Thorison to enable ridiculous 10-mana combos with Dracarys and Enchanter.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be only for specific style combo-y type decks, really, right?
Right.
Because the 3-mana 1/5 sucks. So
yes, but that is a powerful effect that begs to be used.
Yes, for sure.
Bone
I'll
Drake.
be trying the hell out of this card.
Yes. Bone Drake is next. It's a 6-mana 6/5 rare neutral dragon with a death rattle that reads, add a random dragon to your hand.
Word. I like that.
I like dragons.
Yeah, well, Dragon Priest has been struggling just because, and they're actually still okay, but they struggle a little bit because there's a lot less dragons, right? So here's an actual good dragon. It gets you another dragon. Yeah. I'm down.
Yeah, I'm always excited for new dragons, and they've been pretty sparse this expansion. But Bone Drake, this is 6 mana 6/5 plus a death rattle of giving you another dragon, which you're probably playing the archetype of. This is a good card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you want more dragons to enable your dragon stuff. And
I was gonna say, even if it pulls a bad dragon, you at least have a dragon in hand that then you can use to enable the rest of your things. You don't necessarily even have to play it. Just the fact that this guarantees you're gonna have a dragon in your hand, it's good for Priest.
Yeah, it's true. But the thing is, like, even the bad dragons aren't that bad. I don't know. I don't feel like the bad dragons are very terrible.
There's no such
most
thing
of them
as
at
a
least
bad
still
dragon.
do something pretty good.
Yeah, no, I agree. You can play around death rattles, but it's still, still a pretty good chance you're going to get that random dragon added to your hand.
Yeah, and the fact is, you've got a death rattle and a dragon tied up into one card too. So Quest Priest.
Yeah,
with
that's
dragons.
true. Quest Priest. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Quest Dragon Priest, dude.
Yeah, that could be cool.
That would be so
I'm actually
fun.
looking through the dragons right now, and in standard, dude, there's no bad ones. Like, they're all fine. I mean, the whatchamacallit dude that gets buffed with your card, the amount of cards you have, like, maybe that's not so great.
The
But
Twilight Drake, the 4/1.
no,
Oh.
it's not Twilight Drake though. It's the other Nightmare or something or whatever.
Oh yeah, Scaled Nightmare.
Scaled Nightmare.
No,
That's the one.
Yeah. Even Nozdormu. You have to pay the mana, but you get to play Nozdormu.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I always like playing him.
All right.
I feel like
agree.
I would get wows out of my opponents if they had time.
They do it on your turn. That's when you do it.
Midnight Drake. There you go.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, next
Yeah,
card.
Scaled Nightmare might be the worst one, I guess, and even that's still
That's
okay.
the one. Is it 2/6 or
It's the
2/8?
6 mana 2/8 that
2/8.
doubles at the start of your turn.
Right.
But even that's like okay, that's fine. Like, that's not terrible. And then there's the new dragon that gives +3 to a minion that we got in this set. So there's
Plus,
there's now
I
even
guess,
a better dragon out there.
could you? Oh, it's neutral, and it just says a random dragon. So technically, Syndragosa would be up for. You could potentially get that in any
Mage
class.
Syndragosa.
Oh, good
yeah.
lord, you're right. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Rare, but possible.
Oh, but possible, yeah, and more possible in standard than wild,
Yeah.
right? Because
The
Blackguard's
Cobalt
gone.
Scalebane is the one that gives +3 attack at the end of the turn. So, and that's a 5 mana 5/5. Like, yeah, none of these are terrible. Like, so just the fact that you're pulling from a pool of cards that's not like there's no real duds in there.
Mm-hmm.
makes this seem even better to me. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I believe in Bone Drake. Let's talk about Keening Banshee, the next card. It's a 4-mana 5/5 rare neutral minion that reads, whenever you play a card, remove the top 3 cards of your deck.
So this is like Fell Reaver, but less stats.
Yeah, instead of 5 mana 8/8, it's 4 mana 5/5.
Yeah, I think it needs to be a bigger body, right? Like a 6/6.
It was a 4 mana 6/6. Yeah,
Yeah.
There might be something there, but yeah, I don't know.
I'll just play.
I don't know about this one.
I'll just play a Yeti and not lose cards and sack 1 attack. Thanks.
Here's chat. Your other treachery.
Yeah, treachery target.
Thing. By the way, Quest Warlock won't work with this because it says remove, not discard. So
Right.
Quest Warlock is literally discard. Removing, like Fell Reaver was removing too, it wasn't discarding. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's just kind of a bad card. Just kind of a bad card. Serenite Chain Gang is next, a 4-mana 2/3 rare neutral minion with taunt and a battle cry that reads, summon a copy of this minion.
So this is like wolves for everybody?
Yeah.
Oh, unless I guess if it's hand buffed.
hand buff.
This could be a good hand
screams
buff one.
hand buff
Yeah.
deck to me.
Yeah, the copy.
But at its worst, it is like you pay essentially 5 mana for the wolves, right? So you're paying 4 mana for the like you're paying 4 mana up front, so you're not doing it in
Over 2
increments,
turns,
but-
yeah.
Yeah. But definitely hand buff. This is just pure hand buff, like love right here, right?
Also not bad on evolve. Yeah, it's 2 2/3s, but with 4 mana attached to it, they evolve into 5 mana cards.
That's true. Yeah, they both probably count as 4 mana cards, right? So yeah, there you go. Another evolve card to make evolve even better. and I think in arena you're going to be just okay picking this card because just 2 bodies with taunt, you know.
Yeah.
So pretty sweet.
All right. Happy Ghoul, 3 mana, 3/3. Let the giggles subside. Rare neutral minion that reads, cost 0 if your hero was healed this turn. And now I'm going to agree with the giggles. Jocelyn is on point. So Matt Dixon is the artist who did this. Matt, you just win. This is my favorite card art from the entire set. Like,
He's got a smile that's literally like as big as his head, and he's making a snow angel.
Yep, if you haven't seen the art, you owe it yourself to go look at it. And for the audio listeners, we're not going to. Well, we already kind of described it, but it's amazing. It's so damn good, and I love the toenails. They're disgusting.
Yeah, it's just so good.
Yeah, so they're knocking it out of the park with this set. But all right, what do we think about the actual card? Cost 0 if your hero was healed this turn.
So if you're a priest, then you could say it costs 2 because you had to spend 2 mana to heal yourself. If you're a paladin, you swing with your True Silver. Okay. But again, though, like is a 0 mana 3/3 that impactful that you take a card slot for it? I don't know. Like I'm not sure.
If you're going hand buff paladin, maybe.
Sure,
Because,
hand buff
I mean,
paladin I could definitely see. Yeah.
This is only going to get better and better, and then all of a sudden you're dropping a free 5/5.
Sure. Yep. It is kind of true though that in a priest deck you could actually play it on turn 2, so a 2 mana 3/3. Although if you're at full health and then you heal your face, does that count as your hero being healed? Science will have to be done, I guess. But
Yeah, that's a good
sure.
question.
I don't believe it does because there's other effects.
like it still happens. Like you see it happen, right?
Right.
So,
Right, but I don't believe it counts. There were other effects in the game already that trigger off of characters being healed.
yeah, because you can't. You don't draw a card when you heal a full health thing, even though
Right,
you
off
can
of
do
cleric,
that, right?
yeah.
With clerics. So
Right.
yeah, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, healing.
And in that
is-
case, it would be actually hard to play on turn 2.
healing is, to my knowledge, tied to being damaged.
Yeah.
Yep, I believe that too.
But
So that again, it's just like it's all it really is just ever going to be a 3/3, right? So never going to do anything else. It's just, am I getting a 0 cost 3/3? That was very good in discard Warlock, right? But in that you not only got a free 3/3, but you also essentially saved a discard, right? So rather than like discarding a card and having it do nothing, you discard Silver Golem and it actually goes onto the board, and it's like you didn't actually discard. So this is still like.
Denmark in the chat room is reminding me. He said the 1/2 light something doesn't trigger. It's Light Warden. That was the minion I was failing to remember the name
One
of.
2 light something.
Yeah. Light Warden is the 1 mana 1/2 that reads whenever
that doesn't
a character
trigger
is
a
healed,
full health. So yeah, I'm
plus
going to
2
guess
attack.
that this doesn't either.
Correct.
Makes sense.
That is it. But I like Happy Ghoul. I think this is a really cool card. I love if you can hopefully get your freeze damaged before turn 2. Being able to drop a 3/3 is fantastic.
In Arena, you're gonna love this in Priest for sure.
Absolutely.
Because in Arena, it's just all about tempo, right? So, yeah.
Or if you pick up a True Silver early on in your draft as a Paladin.
Yeah, or any heal effect, any like lifesteal type effect, you'll still probably be like, okay.
Actually, yeah, you're right. So we're getting a lot more lifesteal, and because yeah, you're right. Actually, because of lifesteal, Happy Ghoul I think is going to be a safe pick in Arena for the most part.
Yeah, like at its worst, it's a 3-mana 3/3, which sometimes you just are fine with anyway. So
yeah,
and then at its best, it's a 0-mana 3/3. Sweet.
I like it. All right, we've already talked about many of these cards: Mindbreaker, Shallow Gravedigger, Bone Marrow, Necrotic Geist. So we're on to Spellweaver, which is a 6-mana 4/4 common neutral minion with spell damage +2. That's nice.
Yeah, this actually seems okay to me because obviously the Evolved Kobold was 4 mana, and it was a super weak body, right? But it was able to allow like Freeze Mages to combo stuff because of Thoris on ticks and then OTK you. This could potentially actually live a turn sometimes, so you might get a couple of uses out of it. But we'll this is another wait and see. Like historically, these have only existed in combo-y style decks, and they're kind of hard to pull off. So
please remind me for the next expansion when we start doing card reviews to make a spell damage bumper drop, because I love that now. Chat room is yelling spell damage in all caps.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is like could be good, but also at 6 mana, it's not like enabling combos like Evolved Kobold was. So
yeah. All right, Skelemancer.
And it's still probably not living very long.
No. No. Skelemancer's next. A 5-mana 2/2 common neutral minion with a death rattle that reads: if it's your opponent's turn, summon an 8/8 skeleton. Why?
Yeah, so if your opponent kills it, then you get an 8/8. But
Why
if
would
you
your
run it
opponent-
into something...
Why would your opponent ever kill this, though?
Yeah.
It's just a 2/2. I would just
Well,
be like,
that's why
okay,
the
you can smash
5/2
my face every turn if you want. That's fine. I'm
Yeah.
not letting you have an 8/8.
That's why the 5/2 is so much better, right? Because that's an actual threat that you have to
It's a
deal
threat.
with.
Yeah.
The 2/2
They're
is
either
also
like,
a
leave
threat.
it alive forever, or, if you could buff this with Taunt somehow, then you got something cool going on.
Defender
It is
or
either... Yeah,
Right? Defender
it
of
is either...
Argus.
Spike Ridge
Yeah.
Steed.
Oh, Spike
AoE
Ridge Steed. Yeah,
defense
chat's
is
going Spike Ridge Steed.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, the whole AoE thing, right? Like you put down a 2/2 that if it dies to AoE, then you've got an 8/8. I guess we'll see how much AoE is a problem.
Yeah.
So someone said it's like an egg. It's not quite like an egg, because an egg you can just kill yourself, right? You can have tools that you kill yourself. Your opponent has to kill it.
Yeah.
They have to be the one doing the killing.
It's totally out of your control.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. For me, even more so than the fact that it has to happen in my opponent's turn, it's just the fact that I'm having to spend 5 mana for something that I have to treat like an egg, and I have yet another drawback to trying to get value out of it.
True. Yeah. And it's like, is this worth a card slot in your 30-card deck? I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Feels like a no right now, but
Maybe hand buff Paladin, because then you have
Oh,
to
hand
speed, and
buffs.
this won't be
Yeah,
a
let's
2/2.
go.
Yeah.
again, hand buffs. Yeah.
hand buffs, yeah.
Voldrian and GZ Bob both bring up Doomsayers. This is actually this is a cool card as like a pseudo counter to decks that run Doomsayer. Because then you just put this down and
that's true, yeah.
they start screaming at their monitor like, no,
Yeah,
no,
they play Doomsayer, and then you throw this down, and you're like, sweet, I'll take that 8/8.
enjoy the 8/8. Yeah. So actually, no, you're right. You're right. They just told me more on that. I don't know why I didn't think about that the first time I saw Skelemancer. But whatever the case, that's Skelemancer. All right, we already talked about Cold Bolt Scale Blade. I believe we're on to Venomancer now. It's a 5-mana 2/5 common neutral minion with poisonous. I don't need to spend. It's poisonous. I don't need to spend 5 mana on it.
Well, it's got enough health that it could potentially kill 2 things. So if you can kill 2 things with a 5-mana card, then yeah, you got value. But
How much did Myexna cost?
Maxa was what, a 2/8 for 6, I believe.
Yeah,
my
and
accident was 6.
nobody really played her, right? So
No.
Nope.
Right out the gate, there was a lot of my Exno running around. Yeah, it was 6 mana. But she did not stand the test of time, sadly.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's unlikely that this really sees play, but like I said, if you can kill in Arena, you'll definitely draft this sometimes, because if you can kill 2 things with it, then you got sweet value.
Yeah, and I think my Exna had, because of 8 health, had so much more potential to get 2 minions. I think Venomancer's going to struggle.
It did, yeah, it did. But yeah, you're right. It just never really got there, right?
Right. So that's nice. Cool for you, Venomancer. Your art's really neat. Let's talk about Bloodworm, a 5-mana 4/4 common neutral beast with lifesteal. See you in
It
arena,
looks so
Bloodworm.
gross.
It's really disgusting. But yeah, I don't really want to pay 5 mana for a 4/4, even if it does heal me a little bit.
By the
when it
way,
attacks.
if you look in the background, that looks like the feet of maybe one of the princes, which is great because Bloodworms should be very small because they used to be a thing on Blood Death Knights.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they would come out when you attacked things, and then they would heal you on
Yep.
blood DKs. Yeah.
Yep. I don't think they're a thing anymore. Sadly.
Really?
I
They
don't-
took that out?
I don't
those.
remember seeing them.
Yeah. But
This card is just like whatever. You
Yeah.
know? It just exists. And sometimes it'll be in arena, but I don't think you'll be seeing this very often in the world.
I don't think so either. I'm always trepidatious because I've been wrong about beasts that have found their way into Hunter before, but
I don't think so.
Zombeast. Sometimes you'll combine this with other stuff.
That's true. It is a 5 cost. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's true. All right. We already talked about Sunborn Valkyr. Let's talk about Night Howler. It's a 4-mana 3/4 common neutral minion that reads, whenever this minion takes damage, gain +2 attack.
Enrage,
Yeah.
warrior, maybe.
Possibly. This effect is kind of already existed, and it doesn't really. We got the
Gurubashi.
Frothing Berserker is the only one that really made it because obviously it gains for everything, so it becomes big real quick. But what is the
Gurubashi Berserker.
2/7?
The
Berserker.
Gurubashi
Yes.
Berserker.
Yeah, but the 5-mana 2/7 doesn't see play. Gurubashi.
Yeah. Hey,
So-
Yeah,
back
and you
in
can damage that a whole lot more than you can damage a 4 health minion, right?
3/4. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Dills, how
And it
quickly
gains +3 instead of +2. So
Yeah.
oh, crap.
how quickly have you forgotten beta? Gurubashi Berserker was all over there, and we were feeling like badasses.
Yeah, I mean there was just no options back then, so it still sees play in arena sometimes. But yeah, if the 7 health makes a huge difference there. You
Right.
can really get that thing to go crazy,
And
and
the
this thing
3
will
attack.
never go that crazy.
Yeah, it's both. It's
Unless
the
you
health
hand buff
and
it. Whee!
Is that just going to be our like hand wave? Like everything's good with hand
Yes.
buff.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can take any card, make it bigger, and it's suddenly good.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, Night Howler. Grim Necromancer. I think we already talked about, didn't we?
I think so.
Okay. Grave Shambler. Love the art on this one. 4-mana 4/4 common neutral elemental that reads, whenever your weapon is destroyed, gain +1/+1.
So, destroyed means like when I use the last swing on it too, right?
Correct.
Yes, it doesn't have
Okay.
to be oozed.
So it's whenever it's oozed or I use the last swing. So
Right.
yeah, if I could play a 4-mana 5/5 reliably, but I don't know, it's going to be hard to be that reliable, right? And again, it's like I have to take up a slot.
Mm.
So yeah, maybe a rogue arena card.
I was going to
for
say, yeah,
sure, 'cause
rogue might be
you're
okay
getting
because
3 weapons.
you know
Yeah.
you're going to have weapons. Yeah.
Yeah,
It had been kind
but
of
probably in constructed, you still want to be battle cry doing stuff. You
Mm.
know.
Yeah. I agree. Arena Rogue, I think, would really dig it.
Yeah,
think you're onto
arena
something.
rogue. Hell yeah.
Wicked Skeleton is next. 4-mana 1/1 common neutral minion. Battlecry. Gain +1/+1 for each minion that died this turn.
Okay, so wipe the board and then play a big dude. But again, all you're doing is playing
Yeah,
a dude. It's like it
this
just
is another
doesn't.
adding
Constructed
stats.
doesn't really like
Yeah.
that. They want to be doing stuff. So, but and in arena, you better have drafted a whole bunch of AOE's or something. But I will say this though too. In arena, there's oftentimes you find yourself in these board states where there's lots of board tension, and you end up kind of trading off, which is why cards like Cult Master are so much better there, right? So this is a card I could definitely see like being okay there. Unleash the Hounds, Squeemeister's saying, sure. But with Unleash the Hounds again, it's like, do I really just want to drop one big dude at the end of it? Or do I want to do some other stuff? Probably.
I agree. Also, we'll work with Doomsayer, right? Because it starts at the beginning of happens at the beginning of the turn.
Yes.
So I could see myself wanting Wicked Skeleton if I somehow end up with a Doomsayer in arena.
Oh, that's actually true. Yeah, the Doomsayer combo.
Doomsayer's coming up a
Could be
lot
a thing.
today, by the way. So, yeah, there's arena potential with Wicked Skeleton. You're absolutely right, Dills. Vrygul is next. A 3-mana, 3/1 common neutral minion with a death rattle that reads, if it's your opponent's turn, summon a 2/2 ghoul.
So another one
same
of these.
effect again. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like these
But,
death
you know,
rattles.
again, like this one at least is a 3/1, so it's
A little more threatening.
putting a clock on your opponent, right?
But it's still 3 mana as opposed to. I think
Yeah.
if this was 2 mana, it would be a much better aggro tool.
I wonder if these cards were underestimating them, though, just because if you think about it, maybe you could consider it like a 3-mana 5/3. And if that's the case, you know, then maybe it's actually going to be pretty good. But these just feel pretty bad to me, most of them. So we shall see.
Yeah. This is the one we're probably feeling the least terrible about because of the 1 health. So if you sneeze on it, it dies. But
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And
you
don't
just throw it out
forget,
there and you're like, what? Deal with
hand
it.
buffing.
Oh,
Yeah.
hand buffing.
Hand buffing.
and again, eggs. We're invoking Doomsayer, hand buffing, and eggs a lot today. This is very egg-like. You throw it out, and all of a sudden they don't want to use their board clears.
Yeah.
Or if they do, who cares? At least you have a 2/2 at the end.
Yeah, once you get in a lot of these neutral cards, though, you start to really see, like, these are, a lot of these are just arena cards, right?
Mhm.
Like, that's just where they're going to see play.
Mm-hmm.
And even in Arena, some of them you're just going to be like, oh man, I wish you were something else. No. Death Speaker's next. It's a 3-mana 2/4 common neutral minion with a battle cry that reads, give a friendly minion immune this turn.
We already
Yeah, again, it
have
feels like arena to
this-
me, because
Yeah.
it's like a Divine Shield you have to use right away, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we already have this in Hunters, right? Because they can give a beast immune for a turn, and it doesn't get played. Although it's
Stable Master? Yeah, I
spell.
never saw it.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually the card that does it, too. It's 3-mana 4/2. 3-mana 2/4 might be better, and you can use it on any minion.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, though, it screams to me like arena. Like if I can get 1 free trade out of a minion and keep my dude alive, that's pretty good. But giving minions Divine Shield has historically not really been that good. The 2-mana 2/2 in Paladin is actually definitely used, but most like give immunes have not really seen much play, just because again it's like a Divine Shield that goes away, so you got to get its use out of it right away, which is hard.
Yeah, but it's also not the worst 3-drop we've ever seen. The stats are decent for the mana, and it does have a combat trick. If you have something on board that can attack this turn.
Totally.
So, Hildnir Frostrider is next. Butchered that one. 3-mana 4/4 common neutral minion with a battle cry that reads, freeze your other minions. So,
Well, hell, if you play this on an empty board, it's just a 3-mana 4/4.
Yep.
All right.
Or if you have what's his name from Shaman, Murabi,
Oh yeah,
and
you just
that's
make all your dudes again.
all your
Yeah.
dudes again. Yeah, you do skip all their attacks, but you get all your dudes.
Well, you
again.
can attack first, right? And like go face with them all, and then play this guy. You'll miss.
Well,
the
yeah,
next
but then
set,
you'll miss the next turn. Yeah, so
Yeah.
miss one.
Like, you'll
set of
always miss
attacks.
one attack when
Yeah.
you freeze something. But
Yeah.
yeah. But I like again, I feel like in arena, like you're dropping a 4/4 on turn 3 is gonna be pretty sweet because it's gonna eat 2 things most of the time, and a lot of times like they'll have an empty board, right? Like we saw Ogre Brute quite a lot in arena, and that was the miss 50% of its attacks. It was still good enough, So 3-mana 4/4 is generally pretty good.
This seems to be the card that, I don't know, is kind of the missing piece from a lot of the freeze deck discussions, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if we known about this card before Murabi, we would maybe given him a little more love.
Yeah. But this makes me want to try it, and it's a common, so if I find myself a Murabi, it'd be easier to make myself some Frost Riders and see what I can make happen.
Yeah, I'll give it a go. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Tuskar Fisherman is next. It's a 2-mana 2/3 common neutral minion with a battle cry that reads, give a friendly minion spell damage +1. Well, it gives spell damage, so according to our chat room, it's amazing.
Yeah. Spell
Where's
damage
our
is the
spell
best thing in the game.
damage number?
Come on, where's the spell damage? Cheers, chat room.
There's usually a drawback to spell damage, and the drawback is literally just that I have to have another minion. But I'm getting a 2-mana 2/3, so this is gonna be all over arena.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be sweet there. But again, probably not good enough for constructed. Probably.
No, I don't think it finds a place, but you're right. I think it's a good arena card. Fallen Sun Cleric is next. This is a 2-mana 2/1 common neutral minion with a battle cry that reads, give a friendly minion +1/+1. I love that it's wearing the tabard of the Shattered Sun.
Yes.
So it's like
There's a lot of attention to detail in the artwork of these cards.
Yeah.
So the
From a
Shattered Sun
lore
Cleric,
This is
perspective.
literally a smaller Shattered Sun Cleric.
the Shattered
Yeah.
Sun Cleric died and was
Exactly
resurrected.
the same thing.
Yep.
But yeah, only arena.
Arena card.
Only in the arena will you see this. Because again, like a 2-mana 2/1 sucks, so it better like actually get value. But in the arena, that will happen. You'll be like make your 1-drop will trade with their 2-drop, and then you'll have 2 minions at the end of turn 2. So.
Yep. Tainted Zealots next. This is a 2-mana 1/1 with Divine Shield and spell damage +1. So play
Oh
it.
my
right?
god, this card's
damage.
amazing.
Spell damage. Oh my god. So
The spell damage
that's
is hard
it.
to kill. Is that matters, right? So
Divine Shield does make it kill. You're absolutely right. But wouldn't you just rather Blood Mage? I realize it's common versus a legendary that you may not have, but wouldn't you just rather Blood Mage?
yeah, I'd rather Blood Mage and draw a card.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which should be. I don't think a common neutral should beat a legendary that's been around.
A legendary,
since
yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, it's I like that this card is here. It's again, it's gonna come in handy sometimes in arena games.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a good card there.
Yep. Dracarys Veteran is next. It's a 1-mana 2/1 common neutral minion with a battle cry that reads: give a friendly minion +1 attack.
Arena.
Arena. Cool. Wretched Tiller is next. A 1-mana 1/1 common neutral minion that reads: whenever this minion attacks, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero.
Nah.
So this is the one that people have been comparing to Leper Gnome, right?
It has the potential to go off more than a Leper Gnome, right?
Yeah.
'Cause Leper Gnome is now a 1-mana 1/1.
But
But-
the Leper Gnome is guaranteed to do the 2 damage. If this gets killed before it attacks, then
Yeah. It's generally just a 1-mana 1/1.
But guys, what about hand buffs?
Oh god, hand buff. Wow, you're right. If we make this a 1-mana 2/2 or a 1-mana 3/3, suddenly it's real good.
I don't know if this was on purpose, but Wretched Tiller is a farmer, and I like that because I have to make the same excuses to play Wretched Tiller as I do an Angry Chicken. It's like, if I buff this, oh man.
Sure.
And I like the idea of the Wretched Tiller hanging out with the Angry Chicken.
Oh, we should just totally make a farm deck. Be so good.
Our next April Fool's episode will be called the Wretched Tiller instead of the Angry Chicken. Look for it, maybe. I'll probably forget by then. All right. Are you ready
Yeah,
for
they
the...
literally told you how bad this card was in the name.
Yeah.
Like, how good is this card? It's wretched. It's bad. It's really bad.
Are you all ready for the final card that we have not talked about yet?
Yes.
All right.
Is it the best card in the whole set?
It is not. It's called the Dead Scaled Knight, and it's a 1-mana 1/1 common neutral Murloc with lifesteal.
I put it in my adorable Murloc deck. That's all, because it is pretty. It's kind of cute.
It's an adorable Murloc.
I really like. I really like. There's so much good art. Again, as usual, I keep saying this, but I love the art. It's a freaking Northrend armored Murloc.
He thinks he's a badass. Look at him. Aw.
I like it.
Hand buff this
Hand
card.
buff.
That's
But
kinda-
guys, what if I hand buff this?
the fact that it's a Murloc too, though, means you'll get it randomly from the Murloc quest thing. You'll get it if you're playing in Wild with Murloc Knights. So it'll sometimes pop up out there in the world, but not very often.
No, definitely not. But that is it. So, I mean, it's always hard to think about this because it's hard to think about what my reaction was before I played any set. But I might as well throw this around real quick. After seeing everything, where does your hype fall compared to previous expansions going in? I'll start with you, Jocelyn.
I'm pretty excited just because I really like Northrend, and I mean, not anywhere near as much as you, Garrett, obviously, but I do like Arthas
It's okay.
and his story.
I'm not going to fight you on who loves Northrend the most.
I'm just saying.
We can all love Northrend, you guys.
Can we?
It's
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
We can all love Northrend.
So
Northrend has a
I
lot of
really
love
like
to give.
just the. Sorry.
I said Northrend has a lot of love to give.
Oh. I feel like this set they did a really good job from a lore perspective. They treated the Lich King how I wanted them to treat the Lich King, in a way that was, serious, but still, like, I mean, with the Hearthstone spin, Arthas, like, it's good. There's a lot of cool effects and powers and stuff in this set. I think I'm more excited about Death Knights and changing your hero than I was about quests. And I was pretty hyped about Ungoro. So I think that we're going to see a really big swing from this. Not to mention, on top of all the super cool cards, we're getting single player adventure content back. And there's the super cool Arthas hero that you can get for beating the final boss with all 9 classes. So I think, yeah, there's a lot to be excited about with this expansion.
Dills, what about you?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything Jocelyn said. I think this is primed to be the best period in Hearthstone history, and that would immediately follow the best period in Hearthstone history. So that's kind of, if that's like, it just feels like we're going in the proper direction. And I think we've had times in the past where the game felt like it was going the wrong direction. So I'm really excited that everything looks like there's nothing here that seems to me like we're just going to be all just whining and moaning about it pretty soon. I don't see anything that's going to feel like a Dr. Boom or a Caverns Below or a Undertaker or anything like that. Everything just feels super fair, and I think some of these things are going to enable older stuff that wasn't very good to suddenly be good again. Maybe some of these other quests are going to come out of the woodwork and actually be okay. And maybe hand buff is that its time has arrived, and all that kind of stuff. I think that's how each set should kind of work. It should not only be on its own good, but it should make you revisit older strategies and retry them with, new tools and find those things that everyone just kind of like crapped on it and said, nope, doesn't work. Suddenly you're going to be able to go back. And then of course I got to mention my wild. I love my wild, and I'm going to go nuts in wild with all this stuff. There is so much to be done with like death rattle things and all that kind of stuff in wild. So yeah, you will see me playing more Hearthstone than ever before, which is kind of crazy because I play a ton of Hearthstone already.
I am in the same boat, obviously, as both of you. I completely agree with you, Dills, that Ungoro and I think just Hearthstone in general, like even some of the stuff that's been added that is not involved in Ungoro in any way, shape, or form. I think Team 5's hitting their stride. The game hasn't been in a better place. The last 2 events that we had, the Fire Festival and now the Frost Festival, have been incredible. I've actually enjoyed Tavern Brawl for like the last few weeks, which I just kind of fell off it for a while, and I was like, I want some cards now that they patched it in, and I'm not going to get duplicate legendaries. Let me get back in there and get my patch, and I'm loving that. And then on top of it, I'm getting a Northrend themed expansion, and we've all 3 of us has been here talking about Arthas on the show since the very beginning and wanting him to get added and hoping that he would be something that kind of stood up to the
expectations.
The expectations of a character like Arthas. And looking at this card, absolutely looks like that case. And on top of that, I don't see anything in this set that raises my eyebrow, thinking, oh God, are we heading into another TGT? No, I think we're heading into another Ungoro.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
an even better one.
Yeah, I am.
There's just so much cool stuff, and I think one of the key words that I said so much during all of these reviews was fair.
Fair.
And that's how I want these cards to be. I don't want OP broken stuff. I want to find OP broken stuff in combos that are cool and hard, and you have to really use your imagination. That's how it really should work. Not just like slam this card. Look at that, I win. That's the kind of stuff that's bad for card games. Everything they're doing here is amazing for card games. You really are going to have to put your thinking cap on and figure out what cards are best for certain situations.
I agree. I'm the most hyped I have ever been for Hearthstone expansion. So let's Thursday get here. Even though I have work to do, I'll just I don't know, man. I'll get up like at 3 a.m. and get some work out of the way or something. I gotta get in there as soon as possible. So we're gonna attempt to do a pack opening stream on Thursday, since we never know the time that it's going to go live, and sometimes even when it does go live, there are login issues. It's very difficult to plan. So,
but last time we played Heroes and it was super fun.
We did.
That's true. We just hung out and played Heroes while we waited.
I actually had a fantastic time with that. So yeah, it entirely depends on that. But keep your eyes peeled to the Angry Chicken Twitter. We'll put a tweet out there letting you know when we're all going live. And here at the end of the show, we're going to go around the table and tell you everyone's personal Twitch channels. You should follow those as well. Because if you've never watched us do one of these before, all 3 of us stream independently, but all in a Skype call together and just tear through our packs and cuss at each other when we get legendaries. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's fun.
Stop on by for it. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. We made surprisingly good time on that.
Yeah, only 3 hours.
Hey, could have been a lot longer. So thank you guys for getting your thoughts out succinctly. Thank you to our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC for supporting this here podcast. We have a new goal up that we're already very close to have a regular guest host, a recurring guest host, once a month. And we've invited Raven to come on to Angry Chicken once a month. If we hit our next Patreon goal, he'll be coming on, and we will be paying him thanks to you, our patrons. So check out patreon.com/TAC if that sounds cool. Even if for some reason that doesn't sound cool, and I don't know why I wouldn't, because Raven's a super cool guy. But if you like the show and want to support us, Patreon's the best way to do that as well. This episode, we'd like to thank Alan, no last name given, Chad G, Nicholas B, Michael N, Gordon C, Reed W, Guy G, Tim J, and of course, our Patreon producers, Declan H, Peter Williams, Michael N, Sean C, and Johnny S, which is nuts that all of our producer slots are filled. And
yeah, crazy. We've been talking about that kind of stuff too. There's going to be more Patreon things coming down the pipe here, which I'm really like. We're only $64 away from having Raven here every single month, which is just crazy. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts how well it has panned out for us. And we really appreciate it, everyone. And I want to give props. Like, I know we only have 5 producer slots, but we also picked up a couple people who are giving us as much as the producers do and don't seem to care that there aren't any more producer slots open. So I figured on this episode, at least, I definitely wanted to also give mad props to LVE. And I'm trying to do this at a process of elimination because Patreon doesn't make it easy if there's no more slots left. But LVE is one of them. And I believe Assassin is another one. So thank you. That's absolutely nuts. You all are crazy, and we appreciate the support. As we wrap it up, check out amove.tv for all of the back catalog of Angry Chicken and plenty of other great podcasts. At TAC Podcast is a Twitter account. And catch us live Tuesday nights at 4 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/amovetv. Dills, I'm going to throw it to you for your stuff.
Just check out twitch.tv/WillyDills, where I stream all the stuff. We had a great time last night playing the daddy dating simulator.
Oh my god!
I had some people over, and we were all playing the parts of different characters and stuff. So it was super fun. So that's where all that kind of fun stuff happens. And also check out my Twitter at WillyDills.
Badass. Jocelyn, how about yourself?
I'm on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at JossPlays, and links to everything I do are just over at jossplays.com.
Awesome. Hats off to Jocelyn, by the way. You had horrible back pain coming into today's episode, and you weren't sure you were going to make it, and you sat through a nigh 3-hour episode. So thanks for
I'm going to go take more painkillers and go lie down.
You go do that. You go do that. Just don't mix it with wine or something. You can get real weird after that. All right. I'm on Twitter at GarrettArt. Everything else I do can be found at amove.tv. Right now, I would say go check out Embrace the Spoilers if you're a Game of Thrones fan, because Jocelyn, you and I are over there spoiling the new season of that show. Find it anywhere podcasts can be found. That'll wrap it up for this show. Hopefully, we'll see you Thursday if the servers behave for a pack opening stream. But until next time, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!
Everybody dies.